Good evening. Welcome to the RantCastPodcast. I am your host, Joshua, also known as TheStrangeBus, and you can catch me at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. I am joined here tonight by your other host, and that's Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans, and you can catch him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. That's twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. Also on YouTube at XSC3, home of HeroQuest Fans. Go catch him for some archived episodes of those HeroQuest adventures. I had to think of a word there for a minute. But anyway, let's get this show on the road. I'll bring Kurgan on, and then we will get underway. Kurgan, whenever you're ready. Oh man, you're gonna have to give me a better one than that. We barely heard you that time. RTX voice 1.
Oh. RantCast.
There you go. That's a lot better. What's up,
I
Joe?
was trying to do it quiet enough that I wouldn't catch it. But
Anyway, welcome back to the podcast. It is a wonderful evening, Tuesday. Have to remember the date, February 3rd. You can totally tell I'm ready. I'm ready to go. We've got a pretty good show for you tonight. We have some HeroQuest news, I believe. Do we have anything HeroQuest related, Kurgan?
not really. Just some people concerned about these expansions selling out and not being restocked. It's some complicated industry-wide thing, so it's not just Avalon Hill. But I guess my advice would just be, tell your local store, I want this. Order it for me. You know, when they say, "Oh, we don't have it, but we can order it," tell them to order it.
All right, so we have
Send a letter to hasbro.
Minor HeroQuest news, just some small topic to talk about today. And then I didn't feel like we did TNG's tier list any justice. We put it at the end of the episode yesterday or last week, and I felt really embarrassed because we were both tired, exhausted, ready to get off, and I had not seen TNG in a couple of years, so I've been rewatching season 1 on my off time.
You have committed an act of utter barbarity.
I did. It was very bad. So I rewatched season 1, and then I rewatched it again. I'm on, what was it, like episode 8 right now? Well, technically it would be 7 because Amazon Prime combines parts 1 and 2 of Farpoint. So we're going to go over that. We're going to get a little bit nerdy. We're going to get a little bit into the Trekkie zone. So if that's a little too much for you, well, I'm sorry. We're going to the Deveron system and engage a Warp 9. You know, that's what we're doing today. So hope you enjoy that topic of discussion. If anybody has any other topics or want to talk about anything that we did the last couple weeks, please feel free to give us a DM in our Discord. Let us know, and you can hop onto the RantCastPodcast for further discussion. With no further ado, let us get underway with our HeroQuest news. Kurgan, whenever you're ready, my good sir, because I've got some wonderful soup my wife brought, and it's
nice.
It's really good. You're gonna get some ASMR action.
That's right. Slurping that soup. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, so one of the guys, one of the unsung streamers, YouTube commentators, I guess you could call him an influencer. That's probably a better term. Werfelpunk on YouTube. And I will make Josh do some work here by sending him the link that I didn't send him before.
Oh.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
So it's in German, so you're going to need the subtitles if you're not.
Well, you're going to make me do some work.
Yep.
Yeah, hold on. Here we go.
So.
Oh boy. Let's see. Closed captions. There we go.
Yep. And then you got to translate.
Where would
Auto
that be?
generate.
Is it here in settings?
You got to click on subtitles the second time. Then you got to go down to auto translate to English.
Oh, do you want to do it in Belarusian? Or Croatian? Oh my gosh, look at all these. Japanese.
Well, anyway,
Japanese.
Shout out to Werfelpunk, the Dice Punk. He's talking about the situation in Germany. So Germany has been we were always thinking of Spain. So Spain was the Spanish fans. They had the game system of HeroQuest, but every time an expansion would come out, it would sell out, and then that would be it. There'd be no like other restocks, and so they'd have to get it from other countries and translate it themselves. Well, I guess Germany is now the one experiencing this sort of shortage. So, because Spain, it's like, I think it was against the Ogre Horde and on, they started restocking it. So they must have gotten enough of a foothold in that market that Hasbro decided, or through their distributors, hey, it's worth it to keep producing these. And then it's very confusing for the consumer because we feel like, well, everybody wants it. And it's like, where is it? I can't buy it. It sucks. But I guess in Germany, they've been having this issue where they're trying to look for the stuff and it just isn't there. And it's fine if you want to translate it yourself, or if you speak English, you can get the English version.
I have the
Yeah, you're just trying to buy your
subtitles
game
on,
and
but
you're
they're
like,
not pulling up. So sorry
okay.
about that.
Well, I'm giving you the gist of it. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with everything this guy said, and honestly, with these translated videos, I mean, I have to pay very careful attention. Like, and sometimes, you miss stuff because of the translation. So I'm not saying, every single point has been scrutinized, but the point is, like, First Light is going to be in all the stores. So far, I've only seen it in, I almost said Best Buy. That would be nice. But no, I've seen it in Target and Barnes& and Noble. So First Light is the starter set. But the thing is, I mean, the whole backbone of HeroQuest is its legacy, right? You got the game system, you got Keller's Keep, Return of the Witch Lord. After that, it's a mixed bag. Like, some people remember Wizards of Morcar, some people remember Against the Ogre Horde, other people remember Frozen Horror, Mage in the Mirror. Then you got these new expansions that people want to check out: Jungles of Delthrak, Rise of the Dread Moon. But his point is, like you're in Germany, you want the German language version, you're having a hard time, because if you don't buy it right when it comes out, it gets sold out. And so, even though it's supposed to be a regular retail product, running into the FOMO problem, right? So if you're in these countries, you're like, okay, now I know I've just got to buy it right away. But as with other FOMO products, what happens is you get the people buying up the stock, scalping it. It really sucks. So thankfully, HeroQuest is a little bit less affected by this when you have like the fan community, putting out fan translations and stuff, making it really accessible and easy. But just think of the average consumer, just the regular person who goes to the store to buy a
Wait, so Germany's
gift for
getting
their kid.
shafted
And it's
then?
like,
They can't find anything for HeroQuest?
well, they can, but they got to get it right away. Like, they're losing a lot of opportunities. So like
Oof.
the people who are plugged in, the hardcores, the collectors, they're getting it fine. It's all the other people, because HeroQuest is supposed to be for the people, right? It's supposed to be a mainstream family game, not just for elites, not just for hardcore people.
That is concerning, considering the
Yes.
fact that I think we brought this up before, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna kind of budge in a little bit.
No, go for it. Go
Um,
for it.
and we're showing this guy's video. Is there a particular timestamp you want me to be at? I mean, there's no sound, and the comments are not popping up. I don't know if it has something to do with me or YouTube in this case, but if there's a particular timestamp you want me to pop up, I can pull that up. But at that point, this
I
is
could
just fair
share mine.
use, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
But with with this topic, I think we brought this up before on the fact that this is where it comes to not Avalon Hill, but Hasbro's like thinking of risk and how much money it's going to cost to ship everywhere. And if we're going to do a global release, we shouldn't pussyfoot around, because if they're selling in Germany, we shouldn't be doing like 2 or 3 copies in Germany. Like at least that's my thing, right? Like Hasbro is a global corporate entity, right? They are international. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. They don't just service the U.S. So
Correct.
this should be something that is available, at least for, if it's not available in stores, it should be available for special order for people in other countries. Right out of the gate, with at least a viable stock. And the big thing is that the answer to this, the retort coming from Hasbro would probably be, well, we'd have a surplus if we did that. We can't cater to every country's needs, because this guy is probably one out of, I don't know, 30 regular people who buy HeroQuest continuously. And I'm still going to call bullshit on that, because at the end of the day, you're in a business. You're not just in the business of making money, you're in the business of serving your customers.
Yep.
And if this guy has to make a video, hopefully I'm getting this correct, if he's making a video claiming that he's having a hard time finding product, that's not in his country, that's concerning, considering the fact that, once again, Hasbro is a global entity, and HeroQuest isn't really expensive to make, especially when they sell it at, I don't know, hundreds of dollars. It's like $150 for the big box, right?
Well, it's 135, but it usually goes on sale for like 90.
Okay.
The other boxes are like 40, 45.
That's still, we're past the point of pure profit now. So, like, we should be able to at least do it like a special order sort of deal. If this guy's probably willing to shell out a little extra money to get his HeroQuest box, even in his language, because he's more talking about probably getting it in his language, not getting an English version, but getting a German translated version, and it probably doesn't cost that much to get it transcribed to German, like that. And that's what I'm saying, is like the cost probably doesn't outweigh the fact that you could probably have something special ordered. Their company probably has the means to do that. And if Avalon Hill has the means to do that, I don't see why we couldn't do that. And that, to me, that's a problem. That's a problem with the solution. I'm offering a solution. If we can't do a surplus of orders that offers enough so that people can buy them, and you want to avoid having a major surplus for a certain country, it's not cost effective to ship out to Germany in mass quantities, fine. Why not do a special order then? It's a little bit more expensive, but the people who actually want it will fucking buy it. Well, then you've got scalpers, right? You're talking about scalpers. People are scalping it. They're super buying it. Okay, then can we try to do reserve orders on top of that? Maybe try to see if they can only do one per purchase, one per account, one per... I think Steam tried to do this with the Steam Deck back in the day.
So, can I say this? So Hasbro does have something where they limit it through Hasbro Pulse. They'll say, like, I think for the bigger sets, it's like 1 to 3 copies per person or per account. And then for the expansions, they say 1 to 5. I mean, it's still a lot, though. 3 to 5 per person. But yeah, you just have 2 credit cards. You buy 6 copies or 10 copies. But anyway, yeah, it's very minimal. Go for it. That's all I was gonna say.
I'm saying that, like, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think
I've got the subtitles up, by the way, if you want.
Oh, okay.
Throw my screen on.
Give me a second.
We're just using his content here. Shout out to Werfelpunk on YouTube.
Indeed. I don't know if I can do that,
like
man, without, like,
we're gonna get in trouble. Banned.
You have it on our Discord, like in our Discord? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pop it out. Let's pop it out. That should probably be a little better. There we go. But anyway, a big thing that I'm trying to get to is, and I don't know if this is true, right? Or if they haven't already do this. Like, maybe they have to have an account. Hasbro members have to have an account. They have to have an account for at least 24 hours. They have to have, and they might only be limited to 1 a day. I mean, and that doesn't stop the problem, but it does slow the problem down. And it doesn't effectively kill it for consumers either. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, like, we shouldn't have to screw other countries because Hasbro's afraid of losing money.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about board games and not robots. No offense to people here. They're not losing half the fucking company over, I don't know, a couple hundred boxes of HeroQuest. Like, this should be something that can be effectively solved, right? So, and that's what I'm saying is like it should be something that's, you know, a couple executives can sit down in a board meeting and talk about. But you know, I could just be overseeing the problem. It could be something that from me is maybe an oversight. But at the same time, I don't know. I always try to look for a solution. You know, you get people who are trying to look at, you know, the bigger picture. Did we lose? Did I lose you?
Oh, no, that's the end. Just the end of the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to steal all his thunder here.
Steal it all. Take it. Take everything.
Yep. So yeah. He raises a good point. Raises awareness about the issue, and
Yeah.
it's basically Spain had their problem solved, sort of. I mean, the first half of HeroQuest, basically those first launch of expansions, like nobody can get those anymore. The more recent stuff, yes. And then with Germany, it just seems like everything is just going away. Like it comes out, sells out, it's gone. Now in the U.S., the Rogue Heir of Elethorn, like I've complained about that for years, like that hero pack. I mean, true, it's just a hero pack. I mean, it's not a big expansion, but still, it was a character a lot of people wanted to try out, and it's like, oh, he's gone, you can't buy him. And for a while, you could buy him from other English-speaking countries. You could get him from New Zealand or Australia or the UK, but then he's gone. And it's like I've heard people saying, "Oh, I'm having trouble finding Return of the Witch Lord. I'm having trouble finding Keller's Keep." Now, granted, like when I go looking for HeroQuest, I go to my friendly local game shop and they have like a whole row of HeroQuest. Like they have one copy of each thing. And it's like, okay, I could buy the whole set right now, except for the Rogue. You can go to places like Big Bad Toy Store or what's the other one? Entertainment Earth. There's a few sites that will stock like specialty items and they'll have some copies. But that's the English version. Like for these other countries, I mean, you got to go to places like Asmodee or Zavvi, or I don't even know what the ones are for like Spain and Germany. But yeah, once those sell out, it's like, okay, now what? Go to eBay and people are scalping it.
So, is it available as a special order? Could it be available as a special order?
Well, I
Would
think
that be a
that Hasbro
possibility?
Pulse. Well, you would hope so, but Hasbro Pulse just they treat their store just like any of these other stores. Like they have limited stock and it's gone. So sometimes you go to the official shop and it's not there. So then you got to go to like some other store. So I I guess they're subject to the same limitations or something. But yeah, you would think you could always just get it direct from the company, but I guess it doesn't work that way. So if you go to Hasbro Pulse right now and you search HeroQuest, it'll give you all the responses. But you can change like your country code, or you can change the language, or you can just type HeroQuest version, and it'll tell you. So there's like
Shop
Spanish
using a
version,
VPN? Yes, I don't know.
German
Like,
version. Well, I
yeah.
mean, you don't have to do that. I'm just saying like you can check and see. So you're like, okay, I want Spirit Queen Storm in Spanish version, no results. But you just type it in without version and it'll show it in English. So I guess you can buy the English version, right?
Right.
So to be clear, the German fans can buy the English version. That's what they can do. But if you don't speak English, or if you can't be bothered with a fan translation, like downloading and printing it out a fan translation, it sucks. Sucks to be you.
Yeah,
And so it's
that's
like
like that's
tell the
really
customer,
not
just
fair
tell the
because
company. Yeah, tell the
at the end
company,
of the
hey,
day,
look, I'm trying to buy your product, but you're not making it any easier for me.
no, and that's what I'm trying to say is like the fact that it's an international thing, and when you
Yeah,
don't treat it
it
like an
always has been.
international thing, I think Hasbro's afraid of spending money.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then they
HeroQuest,
probably shouldn't have all these IPs.
yeah, overextending themselves. Yeah, they're paying for the Star Wars license and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, I mean, HeroQuest was big in from '89 to '92. I mean, it was in every European country except maybe Russia. Well, I guess
Fucking
you could
sell it to
consider that
Avalon
Asia,
Hill
not.
alone. Maybe see if they'll do a better job. But at the end of the day, I think that once again, I have this bone to pick with companies like Hasbro. Like, I've had some good things to say about them, but like, they own half the fucking market, and I feel like it's just to play keep away. It really
they
does
control,
feel like that.
Yeah, even the IPs they don't own. I mean, they definitely have a strong, like, yeah, it's like you wanna produce Star Wars toys. Like, okay, they have a big piece of the pie. They got their hand in there.
But
So
like, that makes money, so they're willing to shell out
yep,
product for when it makes money. But like,
like that
small
license.
stuff here, they're willing to sell like two. Well, here, we'll give you enough money for 2 boxes of it. Like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, come on, this isn't like your son asking you for an allowance. This is you trying to make a profitable business venture. And if it's not profitable, then don't fucking do it. But like, you don't pussyfoot around with like people's ideas and money. Like, you're an investment. You're making an investment into something. And if you're too afraid to push forward and move forward with the investment, then just don't fucking do it. But like, this weird fucking,
Go hard or go home.
like, I'm not even trying to say that. Like, don't be a fool. Don't be a fool, Marshall. But like, at the end of the day,
Hear that from-
like, don't.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is penny pinching. This is some serious penny pinching. It's like your grandma going out there to get you a video game, and she buys you the game for the completely wrong system, and it's like a knockoff of Mario or something. It's super plumber man.
Mario. Super
Like,
plumber man.
like you go in there and you're like, Grandma, this isn't for the Super Nintendo. She's like, yeah, it says Nintendo at the top. Like, no, just because it says Nintendo doesn't mean it's for my system. Like, but it was only $5. It's all we're gonna spend. Like, come on, Hasbro. Where's the money? Like, is HeroQuest not marketable globally? Like, and if it's not, can people special order it?
Yeah, they're also forgetting about the word of mouth. I mean, HeroQuest is a big word of mouth type of game. I mean, the fans are out there. It's like, oh, you got HeroQuest? I remember that game. You know, they spread it around. Their family all plays it. Those kids go out. They tell the other kids at school. Like, that's how it works. It's not just this, oh, game of the month. You know, top influencer gets it and then it disappears. Like, nobody cares after the Kickstarter's over. Like, it spreads. You know, people make their own quests. They put them online. So if these German guys are making adventures and posting them up online, people see that and go, wait, HeroQuest is back? What the hell? Where can I buy it? Oh, nowhere. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, nowhere. And then, like, you guys said, you just lost money. You guys lost a whole bunch of money. It could be profitable in Germany, but you guys aren't even going to try. And like I said, that's not making money. That's being afraid. And that's stupid.
It'll pay off.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's like saying is it's too risky. It's too risky because some people might not be interested in it. That's the whole point in having a business. Business is risk. It's always going to have risk. And if you're a large business, what the fuck are you? Like, at the end of when it comes down to it, I'm trying not to say it too much today. When it comes down to it, like, you either are a business for the people, or you just make a lot of money and you need to retire. Like, get rid of the fucking IP. Sell it to somebody, make a fuck ton of money, and just be done with it. But you're holding on to this IP for what? So nobody else can make money off of it, Luigi. Like, I mean, come on. At this point, all I have to say to Hasbro, and like, it's the same thing I said for the last 3 fucking years. What is your fucking problem? Like, I have run into more people who've had problems with HeroQuest, receiving HeroQuest, getting HeroQuest, anywhere but the U.S., by the way. I think we've had this discussion more than once. And it's annoying. Because if I were not in a country where it's easily accessible, it sucks. Because there are places outside of our country that are profitable. People enjoy products too, Hasbro. And you're a global company. You should understand this. And that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't take a guy who's ran a small business for 10 years to tell tell a big company how to run their own business, or even just to talk shit, because I might be missing something here. But to even just talk shit, like, this is a problem for the people. You've got somebody out there saying, "Hey, I want HeroQuest," but they don't have a support number for it. They don't have a special order for it. It's, hey, here's these 2 copies of German HeroQuest and they're gone. We're not gonna try to fight scalping on it, and that's it. It's your problem now. Daddy Hasbro gave you your allowance, and now it's gone.
Yep.
So I mean, that's stupid. Like nobody, Apple even controls their stock, and they don't do that. Sorry, we only got 2 iPhones in Germany. Like,
you have to share.
You have to share.
Oh man. Well, I do have a little piece of good news, and this is just on a personal level. So, if you want, I'm going to share my screen again here.
To Mr. Kurgan.
Yep. So finally, after so much time, because several people doing the Yield In Christmas miniature painting exchange had their packages lost because they were going across the pond and just disappeared. So anyway, I got mine from Guitar Hulk. He sent me this. So check this out. So he printed this little scroll. I'll show it. It says Wandering Monster. And it's got this like Warhammer 40K looking little guy. The Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher is ready. I can get it to. Well, it says instead of delivering presents, the Bone Crusher delivers death. He cruises up and down the corridors looking for victims. He crushes your bones into a fine powder, which fuels his ride. Stay clear of this wandering monster. And then he's got stats for it on foot versus in the vehicle. So this is a playable character. So that was really cool. So I guess he painted this twice. Check this out. So it doesn't have the figure in it. I guess you'd have to modify the figure to actually fit inside. But I mean, it's a little Hot Wheels figure. Kick cart, if anybody remembers that.
Oh, dope.
Yep. So he painted it, and he put a lot of detail into it. So you got the teeth on the front. When I was a kid, like, I loved this kind of stuff. Like, oh yeah, it's a car, but it's a monster. You know, the headlights are the eyes, and you got he even painted, you can't see it with my camera, but he painted like little bones. So these look like bones.
Move it out a little bit more, Kurgan. It might need to focus just a little bit. There, we can kind of see it better now. It was focusing earlier. But yeah.
So anyway, thanks to Guitar Hulk for sending that to me. That's really cool. Not what I was expecting at all. I had no idea what he was going to send me. So I really enjoyed the Yield In Christmas miniature painting exchange. And even though it took a little longer, it was worth the wait. It was fun to participate. I'd do it again for sure. It's fun seeing like people's talents and creativity. Yeah, look at that. Just freehanded it. Yep. Yeah. And I can tell like it's really fresh because it's like there's a little bit of tack to the paint, like it still needs some time to dry, but it's like he just threw that in there, and of course it's really cold outside too. But yeah, awesome job, man. Thank you. Good stuff. I sent him like Mr. and Mrs. Claus basically, but Santa Claus is a wizard and Mrs. Claus is like a female barbarian. So it's good stuff. Fun times.
Dope. All right.
Yep. So that was HeroQuest.
Oh, okay. That's it? Wow.
Yep.
Haven't even hit our
Not
hour
a lot
marker
happening
yet. All right.
Nope.
Well, with that, we'll go ahead and move to our. I'd play some awesome music, but then I'd have Paramount coming after me. We don't want that.
What if you wanted to crush some bones?
Bone Crusher. Sorry. That's my own music.
Nice.
So
yeah, as much as we dish on AI, it is fun to mess around and come up with cool stuff.
I have my own tier list. Well, we have a tier list here once again for Star Trek TNG. We're gonna be talking.
We're doing it live.
We're gonna be talking about some TNG stuff. I've got my iPad here that goes over my list of stuff. I've been watching the episodes, so we're gonna do some discussion.
Yeah.
And
now he has seen these not only this year, but this past month.
Yes. So
Whereas
I
I watched these like, I don't know, probably like 6 to 8 months ago.
Shame. Anyway, last rantcast. Yes, I had the last time I watched TNG. Yes, this barrel has no honor. I hadn't watched TNG for like a couple years, and I'd only see season 1 like maybe once. So we were trying to do our best, and I feel ashamed because I rewatched these again. And I was like, yeah, my last tier list was fucking awful. So please disregard. Yep. We found a better tier list, which I favorited, and this goes S through F. So Kurgan, if you're watching.
Oh man, yes I am.
S through F, or I can share it. I think I can share my screen. Either way, S through F. So not all of these categories are going to be met because we're only covering season 1. So we're covering Encounter at Farpoint all the way to, it would be the Neutral Zone. So not a lot of episodes. There's supposed to be 20. This does not.
Are we going to go in order, or are we going to try to pick out like good episodes?
So we're gonna go in order, because, and this is how we're gonna grade them. So S being like the best fucking Star Trek episode you've ever watched, and F being the fucking worst. So like those aren't gonna be graded by watchability. A through D are gonna be graded by watchability. So A is gonna be like, I recommend this episode. It covers the lore. It covers likability. It covers like, so you like everything about it, and it's a recommended episode that you want to watch. B is it's a recommended episode because it's something that if you miss it, it's not going to make sense going down the road. It's a good episode, but it's not your favorite. C is you can skip it, but you personally like it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And then D and F are like snooze fest. Well, D's like snooze fest. I was trying to do this on the fly, but like I feel like
I'm gonna lean on you since you've seen them more recently. But it's like some of these, it's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and do homework. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I have my memories. I have my memories of seeing them on TV for the first time, and then going back over them and like.
I wish I'd labeled these.
2000, and then recently.
Maybe I can label these. I can label the categories. I wish I'd labeled these earlier, but so you can label the categories. I'm not. So like I said, not counting S and F. A is like you like it, and it's on the. It's a recommended episode for all reasons.
So B like all people who do these, we're gonna like revise as we go. We're gonna maybe that's actually a little higher. No, that's a little lower.
B is like you recommend it because you like it. It doesn't hit.
Actually bad.
It doesn't hit. Yeah, it doesn't hit all points, but you recommend it because you like it. C is like it's an episode you can skip, but it's not bad. It's just like it's meh. Like I don't really recommend this, but it's not bad. It's an episode that you could watch, but it's not like I wouldn't put it on like a recommended watching list or something like that. It may not cover the lore, or it may not just be good to watch, and we can explain that as we go through. And then D is like, I don't recommend this, and it's not on the like a watch list or anything like that. It's either one of those two things.
You'll have episodes that are pretty good, but still have some missteps in them or kind of.
And like F is skip this. Like it's fucking atrocious. Like skip the I'm not I personally, as far as TNG goes, yet I've not ran into an episode where I'm like skip this. So I don't think I'm gonna have anything on F. Like I'll recommend somebody's like you don't have to watch this episode, but like that's where I'm gonna go on it. And I may not have anything on S.
I'll sit through because I'm a fan, and I'll try to find stuff to like in it. But usually it's just like overall it's kind of boring, or so they were trying to convey a message and they just were not hitting it.
Hopefully everybody understands my extremely confusing tier list. Yeah. But we'll kind of as soon as we get through to it, it'll kind of make more sense. So we'll start with episode 1 and 2, or however you consider it. If it's a Prime Video, it's combined. It's Encounter Farpoints 1, Part 1 and 2. To me, it's a solid episode, but we'll go ahead and explain it a little bit. So, this is the introductory episode for the entity called Q, which is played by Kurgan.
John Delancey.
He shows up to test humankind by just picking the Enterprise, I guess. Traps the Enterprise, calling humans barbarians and children? Like children, or
yeah. Well, the Enterprise in this episode, they present it as the Enterprise is like a brand new ship.
Yes.
It's kind of the pride of the Federation. Like, they're really excited. You know, they picked Picard. He's like this big idealist cheerleader for the Federation. Like, woo-ha! So it's like they're leading the charge into space, basically. And so that's, maybe you could say that's why they get targeted.
They're on their way to Farpoint to go pick up Riker, right? If I remember right. Yeah, because Riker is being selected, or he's chosen his position on the Enterprise as first officer, so he's not on the Enterprise yet.
And he badmouths the Ferengi, even though they haven't been met yet.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So it kind of introduce your cast. I think this also brings into it kind of. I don't know if they introduce Wesley. I can't remember if they introduce Wesley. I know Beverly gets introduced. They kind of introduce a little bit of each character. It's very solid because the main point of this is they're trying to showcase how far humanity has come from being from their petty differences, and it's the struggle between, well, technically the Enterprise crew and Q as he puts them on trial. And the trial is just the crimes of humanity, pretty much.
It also shows you some of the changes. So a lot of the people that tuned in were already big fans of Star Trek, the original series, that have been in rerun. So this was like, okay, this is the first new Star Trek that you've had in 20 years. And so they were trying to like show you, okay, where's the continuity? Like, what has happened in the galaxy since the time of Kirk and Spock? So there's
in fact, I think there's an old guy who's like 130 years old in this episode.
Yeah, McCoy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
DeForest Kelly, may he rest in peace.
So anyway,
of course, he gets some wisecracks. He gets to tease Data. It's like, you ain't got pointed ears, son, or something like that.
Yeah, he was saying like, how old do you think I am? He's like, exactly 135 years, sir. He's like, how do you know that? I was like, you ain't got pointed ears. He's like, I am an android, sir. He's like, just as bad, or something like that. I can't remember. It's like
grumpy old guy. Yeah. Love it.
So
good cameo.
The biggest thing is like, he's like, you treat her like a lady, she'll bring you back home.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a very solid episode. I don't think it particularly has quite an A and B plot, if I remember right. It's just got the main point is
it does.
There
the plot is not that interesting in my opinion.
Well, yeah, because then I didn't pay attention to that. Then
it's a routine. It's one of those. So here's my thought. It's almost like one of those Twilight Zone episodes. Like, you really don't get what's going on, and then there's a surprise at the end. It's like, okay, got him. But the main thing is, like, while this mission is happening, they keep getting interrupted.
Oh, okay, I guess
showing up, messing.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Yes, because the whole point is the trial with Q, but the B plot is really what's going on at Farpoint, and
even though it should have been the other way around. They're going to Farpoint Station to find out why they have all this super technology.
But that's the test, technically. What Q's testing them is
they're trying to say join the Federation. Yeah, he's allowing them to experience this
so,
and see how they react.
Anyway, what's going on is there is a alien entity that is eventually that attacks Farpoint, and while Q gives the Enterprise crew some time to solve this instead of pretty much judging them at trial. So he gives them this test and says, "Oh, you're not going to solve it. You guys should have just taken your sentencing." Blah blah blah. And there's an alien entity that is eventually attacks Farpoint Station. Counselor Troy ends up revealing this to the Enterprise crew because she's Beta Z, who can kind of like sense people's emotions.
Empathic.
She's telepathic, and she senses that somewhere in Farpoint Station there's something crying out for help. It's in pain, and the leader of Farpoint Station denies everything, says, "Oh, we don't know anything about this," and eventually this alien entity starts attacking Farpoint Station with the away team that's down there. We realize that at the end, when Q finally says, "Hey, time's up. You guys need to solve this shit," that Farpoint itself is the alien entity. And yeah, so they end up getting it released, solving this puzzle. I don't want to reveal too much, but I mean, I'm kind of like spoiling things, but end up solving this puzzle, and then Q lets them go. Picard gives some of the best, like, drawn-out speeches in this episode.
Yep. Some would say pompous, but
yes.
I mean, he's a Shakespearean actor. Patrick Stewart is in his prime.
Eventually, he just gets tired of it and says, "Okay, you can either judge us now, or let us do our job." Eventually, Q lets him go and says, "Okay, I'll let you go for now, but I won't promise that I won't come back." This is also an episode where Q is more depicted as a villain. He is from the Q continuum, and he is like kind of like an entity that is far superior, far more powerful than humankind can think of. He can like mask himself as other things. He mostly shows up in like different like clothing. He can like freeze people. Costumes. He like freezes Tasha Yar in this episode because she like stands up against him, so he just like insta freezes her, stuff like that. He comes off as an entity that you just can't fight against, and you kind of have to play by the
major
rules.
Threat.
Yeah, so
he's scary. He doesn't just tease you. Yeah,
he's kind of scary. So, it's a very solid episode because, like I said, it introduces the characters. It has a good A and B plot, and the ending is very, very, very Star Trek. So, to kind of put it all together, it really is kind of a classic Star Trek. And as the pilot or the first episode, as a two-parter, I think it brings the show to a pretty solid opening. A lot of people thought this was kind of rocky, but I didn't mind it.
Well, do you want to give your verdict first, or should I give mine?
Sure. I will give this a B because it's not stellar.
Fair.
For TNG, right? I'm not ranking this against every TNG episode, right? We're ranking this to season 1. It's not stellar Star Trek, but if I had to rank it against all Star Trek episodes, I would still put it in B tier because it's a good episode. It's an episode I'd recommend you watch because it pretty much introduces everything. It's a two-parter, technically. And if you haven't watched TOS, this is a good way to get kind of that feel of Gene Roddenberry before he leaves the series for good. Because after season 1, he's gone. And a lot of people didn't I thought he was gone after season 1.
Okay. I've heard different things, but what I understand is he had direct control all through season 1.
Like his main influence is gone.
Yeah, season 2 he had less influence. Season 3 he was just a consultant. For the first half of the series.
His main influence is gone. And Star Trek, the first season of TNG had some major hiccups. Like it was shot really fast. It had, you could tell there was a lot of like, if you look real close, depending on what you're watching, because I'm still watching it and it's 4:3, so like I'm missing all this stuff. But there's a lot of hiccups if you watch the.
Yeah. Red Letter Media, they point out a lot of the marks in the tape and the stuff covering a lot of that stuff you couldn't see in the original broadcast. You can see it in 4K when it's widescreen, but some of that stuff was
not just that though, just behind the scenes though. There was a lot of issues between Roddenberry and the crew and like.
Oh, you're talking about? Yeah, that's true.
Just in general, so it really put a strain on the show just to start, and I didn't even know that until later on.
Yeah, I guess I didn't either.
But yeah, the snafus are funny. They're very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so move forward. Before we go forward, what would be your ranking for Encounter at 4 Point?
Well, I was gonna say A, but then I'm thinking like this isn't really fair. So to me, there's a lot of like boring like kind of woodenness in it. I mean, there's some really good moments. There's some really good story things, but that's almost like taking the 2 episodes and cutting out enough material for 1 episode. Like if you could edit it down to 1 episode, it would be A for me. So I think your assessment as B is fair because you're
Okay.
gonna have some dullness, but then you're gonna have some like really awesome stuff, like back
Fair
and
enough.
forth. Yeah. So that's fair. Let's go with B
Okay.
as a
So
single episode.
this next episode, which is technically episode 3,
I would
because
have rated this one
Farpoint.
much lower when I first saw it, but
Hold on, wait, we don't want to go too far, because
okay.
Farpoint is technically the 2-parter. So I have to make sure that I'm 1 episode ahead. So please correct me, Kurgan. But it's episode 3. It's The Naked Now. I am personally biased about this episode because it makes me laugh. Makes me fucking laugh so hard.
Our discussions about it have turned me around. I see it in a different way now. Yeah.
So
The original series had The Naked Time, and this is like a remake of that called The Naked Now.
yes.
But
So it's a callback to TOS again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which once again,
To some people is a downside. They're like, well, just do something new. Don't copy the past.
but once again, these are small callbacks. I mean, this is probably one of their biggest ones, but like I've noticed a lot of these are like small callbacks. So they're running into things from like the old Enterprise cruise, like adventures or stuff from.
And they've already come before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this one is they run into an old ship which carries a mysterious contaminant, which I believe starts with Geordi. Geordi picks it up and ends up bringing it back aboard the Enterprise. It is a contaminant, from what I've seen in the episode, where if you are touched physically through it transports through human skin through sweat, I'm guessing.
Another bodily fluid.
Another bodily fluid. It is you instantly get it, and the side effects are pretty much like you're intoxicated, and it only kind of gets worse. So
Well, and then they supposedly drink synthahol in the future. They don't actually drink pure alcohol, so
yeah,
they're even more susceptible to this sort of thing.
so it's really
Yeah.
bad. But like I was saying before, it only kind of gets worse over time. So imagine you getting drunk without drinking, and the side effects of getting drunk only kind of increase slowly over time. They start to notice it as they bring Geordi into the medical wing. Beverly starts to notice that he's a little bit more belligerent and can be aggressive. They ask him to stay in the medical wing. As they leave, for some fucking reason, they leave him alone, and he gets up and wanders off. He ends up spreading it over to Wesley.
There's a lot of security breaches. And,
He ends up just spreading it over to Wesley, and this is before they figure out exactly what's going on. When Wesley picks it up, and that pretty much, just to simplify the episode, this starts spreading because Wesley ends up taking control of engineering because he ends up getting intoxicated. So he invents this tractor beam that like ends up becoming a repulsor shield that he wants to test out. And as he gets intoxicated, he goes down to engineering to try to test it out. He ends up intoxicating half of engineering. One of the chief engineers leaves before that can happen. They come back and he's sealed himself in main engineering with that thing.
Yep.
And he starts becoming a problem because the other plot, I guess, to this is they have traveled by a star that has a chance of imploding on them. And it just so happens that one of the engineers has ripped out all the isolinear chips, so now the engines are dead.
Playing with them like they're dominoes.
Yeah. So Picard's
sitting. Gonna have fun.
Picard's sitting here going, "What the hell is wrong in engineering?" And they're sitting there wondering. And then Beverly comes in and goes, "Oh, I think I've found out what's going on. It's something that happened on the, what happened with the old Enterprise. They had these side effects. Everybody's acting like they're intoxicated." But the big part is, and the thing that makes this episode great, and I'm going to get to it because I have to make sure I'm staying on task, but everybody slowly starts getting intoxicated on the Enterprise, including the captain, and it's a race against time for Beverly Crusher and Riker because they eventually start getting contaminated too, but Riker has to go fix engineering with the chief engineer. And Beverly has to find a kind of a antidote for this, because the one from the Enterprise, the old Enterprise, was not working. So it's a race against time because they both end up getting contaminated, and it becomes harder and harder to work. And then without the engines, the star does eventually start to implode, which makes the a race against time. With the help of Wesley Crusher's device, and just in the nick of time with the antidote, they end up, what was the ship's name? The Krakovsky or whatever, I believe it's called.
The Velikovsky. Or
they end up repulsing the old ship using Wesley's brain. He inverts the tractor beam to push the Krakovsky towards the implosion, pushing the Enterprise away and allowing them just a little bit more time, because then Data puts the isolinear chips back in, because he's the person who can do it the fastest. It won't take hours. It takes minutes. So, and they were just in the nick of time to take off and get to safety. But the funniest part about this is that when the men are intoxicated in this episode, they have a hard time thinking, they get a little wacky. But when the women, and this is all the women, Troy, Crusher, Yar, they're horny as shit.
Yeah. If you were a young guy watching this, Tasha Yar, she kind of comes out. It's hilarious.
And I can't imagine what these people were going through as they had to act through this, because it is hilarious. They didn't pick one or two of them to do this, because that's more understandable. It can happen. You get a little drunk, you lose your judgment. Yeah. But every main female character in that in that episode was hitting on every moving thing, and especially Tasha Yar, which was very sad. Because the script that she probably had to read was like, you hit on everybody around you. There's a scene where she's walking through and she's starting to feel the effects, and she grabs one of the crewmates, random crewmate number 3, by the way, no name, just grabs him and just fucking starts making out with him
right now.
Yeah, like holy shit. And then after that, she dresses up, and I think you can kind of see it in here. It's in the thumbnail. She dresses up as she calls, as Data goes in there to go retrieve her, and she's like, "Are you fully functional?" And he's like, "Well, of course I am. I am fully functional. I am made for all sorts of pleasuring," or whatever the hell. And she's like, "Oh, perfect." And then he kind of gives off this weird ass smirk, and the door shuts.
Yeah, you see him. She's pushing him on the bed, and he's just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So, and then Data ends up getting intoxicated somehow, and that's the whole point, was that the fact that he can still operate under those circumstances, but it's a goofy fucking episode, and I like a lot of these goofy episodes because they still have heart to them. The negative part about it was, I feel like, because a lot of this was Roddenberry's influence, I felt like he was very open to the fact that we all work together as one unit, especially in TOS. It really broadened the mind. The bad part was you could definitely tell if this was his idea, that he was a perv. There was a lot of perverted shit. And
he was known,
let's
say.
He was very classic on that. And I can't blame him for that, because it's the day and era, right? But holy crap, dude. Because I feel bad for I think her name was Denise Crosby, right? That played Tasha Yar.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel bad for her character, because she had a lot of potential in the first season, and it was sad. But so you have you have pretty much the synopsis of this, and there's another scene. There's one last scene before I go to rate this, where Beverly Crusher does the same thing with Picard, pretty much. Only they don't complete the act. She walks out because she's trying to focus. You can see her, she's like, "Oh, come on, I gotta get this done. I've got to figure this out." And it cuts to the bridge, and she walks up the bridge. She's like, "Picard, I've got to talk to you. It's urgent. In fact, it's an emergency." She walks into the meeting room, and he comes in after her. He's like, "What is it? What is it, Beverly?" And she's like, "I know this isn't the proper time, but I find you very, very attractive."
Trying to pull her. She's trying to unzip her uniform.
Yeah, she unzips her uniform a little bit, and she goes mid talk, and all of a sudden you hear Picard go. He goes, Yeah, he just goes, oh. Like it's like just
Totally
in the middle,
like-
just in the middle of her talking. Like it wasn't afterwards. She's like in the middle of hitting on him. He's like, oh. Like
He's so shocked. Can't believe it. Yeah.
It was so funny because like it just came out of nowhere, and I'm like, I don't imagine how you didn't laugh at that. Like break down
How
and
many
just
takes?
lose your shit.
There
And then like by the time she goes, "Oh, you owe me," like she like, tries to stop him as he's leaving, and she's like, "You owe me. I need the comfort of a man." And he goes,
Her husband died.
"Doctor,
Yeah.
please."
Yeah.
Like I just don't know. I think I think he was, or Patrick Stewart was trying to find his character for Picard and like trying to find out how he would react in such a situation.
Yeah.
Because he was already being touched by that, so like he was trying to like fight off the effects. But afterwards, when they realize that there might not be any hope, he walks back down to the medical wing. He starts hitting on her again. He's like you
all
are
right.
supposed to call me captain. And like, so I have like this episode holds like a special part in my heart because it's funny. It's just funny.
Yeah.
And
You've helped me appreciate it much more than I did back in the day.
it's
I was
yeah,
the
it's
wrong.
goofy
I was the
as
wrong
shit.
age. I was the wrong age to appreciate this when it came out.
So it's very goofy, and it does show a little bit of Wesley's ability to pull in a situation, which a lot of people didn't like Wesley Crusher, but it does help set him up for later on in the episodes. It's not necessary. This isn't a necessary episode, so I'm gonna say it's not.
It's enjoyable.
Yes, it's very enjoyable. It's funny. It's very funny.
Yep.
And during the end, when you realize there might not be time, because there are some episodes of Star Trek that just like make me still think, oh, they're not getting out of this. But they do. They figure it out. But like you still can't remember how, and then you figure it out like right then. So
One of the last lines is Tasha Yar, like, I think it doesn't like it. Data gives her a look or something, like he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" You know.
yeah.
And then she's
she's like, "This did not happen. It never happened." She
never
I'm only gonna
happened.
say this once. It never happened. Yeah.
And he's just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So I'm going to recommend this as it's not necessary. It is one of my favorites. So I'm going to put it at B for like solid. It's above average. It's solid. You don't need
that's
to
fair.
watch it, but
I would have back in the day. I would have put it as D, but now that we've talked, time has gone by. I've gained a better appreciation. I agree with you.
and like I said, I'm trying to rank these. If these had a different category of names, but I'm ranking these by like best Trek ever to like worst Trek ever. I guess it's A to F or S to F. So, but they're just rated by watchability and whether they're necessary or not, pretty much. So, I would recommend this because it's funny, it's goofy, it's not a necessary episode, but it outranks it in that by how fucking goofy it is. Next
you watch it
is
with your little kids, though. You might have to explain something.
It really doesn't show that much. So, I mean...
A lot of suggestion. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of suggestion. Episode 4...
Captain going...
Dude, that'll get me every fucking time. I tell you. It's episode 4 is Code of Honor. This is the Ligonians. Oh, okay. So this is the one that kind of got on people's nerves, but
yeah, they tried not to show it in reruns because people thought it was insensitive.
Yeah. So there is a race of pretty much African Americans who their whole culture is more native. Like they marry their women based on how much land they own, and that's how they acquire their wealth and power. So these, what's going on here? Because I think there is an A and B plot here technically, but it's very vague because the one plot is there is a virus that's happening on another planet. It's a disease Federation planet that needs a vaccine, and in order to get this vaccine, the Enterprise crew has to go and talk to these Ligonians, who are pretty much like classic Code of Honor tribe people, and they are willing to give the vaccine, but they need to be introduced first. So the Enterprise crew, including Cap Picard, so you've got Yar, Worf, Riker, and I believe Data come to meet them at first, and or it might just be at first. It might just be Riker, Picard, and Yar. But they go down to meet the Ligonians, and the Ligonians pretty much are like, "You have a woman on your security team?" And they were like, "Yes, we do." And the Yar goes to check the package that's being given to them as a gift, and the guy's like, "Get out of my way, woman!" And she like flips him over. And everybody's intrigued now. The Ligonians are intrigued because it's like, this woman just kicked this guy's ass. And so the leader goes, starts talking to him about how interested he is in their culture, and how they have Yar as somebody on the as their security chief, and how strong she is and whatnot. So they kind of plot a little bit. So he asks Yar to take him to the holodeck so he can see her combat and see her more combative in action. And so she shows that off, gets a little bit more crazy, and eventually what happens is as they part ways with gifts, they end up teleporting away with Tasha Yar, the kidnapper. And Picard's like, "Look, we were just friends here, and we were gonna get the vaccine, and you just kidnapped our security chief. What you are doing is considered an act of utter barbarity." I'm just kidding. No, it's an act of, he considered it an act of war, but
that's a later episode. But yeah, classic line.
So yeah, they have to ask for her back according to their code of honor, and what they do is they ask for her back. The guy pretty much offers her back at this dinner, which they require them to come down to. And it turns out after Picard does all this waiting, all this necessary honor bound stuff, he asks for her back in front of the audience, and the guy goes, "Oh, sorry, I don't feel like it now. I think I'm gonna marry her. She's gonna be my first one." Well, he already has the first one. She's looking at him going, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "Okay, no, that's not happening. I challenge Tasha Yar to a battle of the death." Yeah. And Yar's sitting here like, "Do I have a say in this at all?" She doesn't. They try to convince the lady that they didn't want anything to do with this, or it's better to walk away. And she's like, "Nope, I'm gonna kill you." So what happens is they go into battle, but they make a plan, and you don't know what the plan is till afterwards. But Tasha goes into battle with this young lady and ends up winning, but it's a battle of the death. So they use these ball spikes that are poisonous. Okay. They end up getting her, but as they get her, they beam her away, and Beverly Crusher brings her back to life. They resuscitate her, and they trick the Ligonian leader into thinking that she was dead. They have the paperwork stating she was dead, all that stuff. And as he comes back in, he's like, "You cheated. This is not how this works." And he's like, "It is. We have the record of death for her and everything like that." And the lady who died all of a sudden turns over this new leaf and says, "Well, since, I died, you're no longer married to me."
Oh yeah, I forgot about that detail.
Yeah. So because she still wanted to battle for that man's life, but she had to based off the code of honor that she was bound to. Now that she lost and she struck a deal with the Enterprise, she was brought back to life. She's no longer married to the man. She can go be with this other man who was, I guess, his +2 or whatever, who actually loved her. So she ends up giving her land and wealth to him, and now he's more powerful than that guy. And she was like, "Well, do you want this man?" And Tasha's like, "No, there'd be complications." So, which is really weird because she said she was attracted to him, and I was like, "Dude, you're attracted to everybody at this point. Chill out."
Or Denise Crosby's character.
So, so at this point, that man pretty much, because he was overzealous and greedy and wanted more than one woman, the lesson was he lost everything. And he had to be the bitch. So, and that to me is what kind of saves the episode, is the fact that it is a lesson in kind of greed and stuff was, yes, it said it in kind of a weird way because like their version of aliens were like indigenous, like tribal
Yeah.
people, but like
Yeah. To say that, like the human culture is weird. So
but
yeah.
yeah,
And you could have. And if this had been made in a later season, they would have been just aliens. They would have had like putty on their foreheads and say, "Oh yeah, these are."
but
Even
at
though
the
they're
same
just
time,
humans.
I can also say that like maybe up somewhere away there might not be people too different from us, so who may have the
You isolate
same
some people on a
cultures
planet
or old cultures as us,
similar.
just might speak different languages and stuff. And I think that's the only difference is that Star Trek, in those things, they all spoke English,
Yep.
which I think was more
Universal
easier for
translator.
people. Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people can
Well,
understand.
in TOS, they explained it as there were colonies, right? There were colonies from Earth, but I mean, they came there at different time periods. They were isolated. Some of them were affected by tragedies, or they
Hmm.
were influenced by other like outside forces, and so like their cultures were drastically different than Earth, or they imitated certain aspects of Earth culture. And so, yeah, it was always a surprise. It's like you can't predict what they're going to do because you have no idea what's going on, and that's kind of a
So
recurring theme in Star Trek about how like they have the power in most cases they have the power to just run steamroll over these people, right?
mhm.
But they're thinking like, okay, we got to hold back, we got to have the diplomatic solution. We and to be fair, they have some leverage. It's like, okay, we've got the vaccine ingredients you need, or we've got your crew member. So there's some bargaining that goes on. So that's what makes it interesting. I don't know. What's your verdict?
I mean, my verdict here would probably be C.
Yeah, I think that's
Only
fair.
because it doesn't stand out. Um, I do. The thing that saved it to me is the fact that you get a pretty decent amount of time with Tasha Yar, who
Yeah,
needed that screen time.
she
Um,
did.
there are not a lot of episodes which she stands out,
And it's
and
it's sad that people use the controversy and then that
yeah,
overshadowed the fact that this was her episode.
yes,
Like,
it was. It ends up being an episode where she stands out, and then on top of that, it does have a lesson, but it is not a necessary episode. You can skip it. So,
yeah, a lot of
which
people
is
did.
another sad thing to say. You can skip it.
A lot of people never saw it until TNG came out in the box sets on video. It's like, oh, there's an extra episode that I had never seen before. I mean, I didn't
So,
remember it. Yeah.
another forgettable episode for me here was the last outpost, and I'll tell you why. The good part was that it does introduce the Ferengi. So this episode 5
I like the early
is it
Ferengi. They were so
Damon
weird
Tar.
and
Damon Tar, I think, is the leader of the Ferengi vessel in this episode, if I remember correctly. But yes, so it's not super forgettable, but because it does have a nice plot. So the Enterprise and a Ferengi vessel are held over this planet, which is currently sucking away their resources, including their shields, life support, all that stuff. And it's a race against time for the away team to find out why this is going on, so that the ship can get its power restored, and they can move on with their lives, pretty much. During this time, they communicate with the Ferengi vessel to see if they can work together to solve this problem. Damon Tar sends 3 scientists down, 3 Ferengi scientists down, and Picard sends down Riker, Worf, Data, and I can't remember who else. I believe that might be it.
oh, I think the
Uh,
detail. I mean, I like that you got all those details there, but I think that's maybe less important than I don't know the impression it gives as an episode. I feel like this one is no,
you said there's
this
an
was
impression? I don't.
an impression. So to me, there's kind of like an old style like science fiction episode. Like if you think of Star Trek not as like a distinct continuity with character arcs and story arcs and all this, like an epic adventure, if you think of it as more of an episodic thing, like The Twilight Zone or The Outer Limits, you have an individual self-contained episode. There's like just exploration of ideas. Like I feel like that's what this episode is doing. It's giving you the Ferengi, so new alien race,
Yeah.
new technology point of view, and it gives you a contrast. Like they have these values, the Federation guys, Starfleet has these other
The
values,
Ferengi don't share
and
any
then
values in this one. They just portray the away team.
Well, but I thought there was okay. Am I thinking of the right one where they talk about they adorn themselves with gold, they clothe their females. Like
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. Okay,
there
no.
was some
Now
moment.
I understand what you're saying. Yes,
See?
yes, but the whole point that I'm getting from this whole thing was that they were just traitors the entire episode. But yes, you are correct, because I forget when I watch this episode that this is technically the first real impression of the Ferengi that you're getting.
Yeah. And when you
So
watch Encounter at Farpoint, Riker, who admits that they've never met the Ferengi, says like, "Well, I hope they find you as tasty as their last benefactors."
yes,
So it's like they're already talking trash about the Ferengi because I guess they've had like long distance encounters, but they've never actually seen what they look like. So yeah, it's just kind of funny how it's like that Cold War mentality of like, well, we know these guys are like demons over there. Like we don't really know them. We just know that they're the enemy. So
yeah. So
yeah,
yes,
the
the
Federation is
Ferengi
portrayed as
are pretty they're pretty wild, and I always like the fact that they always
portrayed
talk
as
about how their females are clothed, or their females are not clothed on their side of the
yeah,
galaxy.
but they're saying that yeah, like they clothe their females so they can be unclothed.
Yeah,
Sickening.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember that.
They adorn themselves with gold. A
Yeah, so
waste
so
of a
Tasha Yar is
great
in this episode too.
commodity.
Yeah, they brought her back as part of the away team, because I remember they were
Like,
talking
just try
about
it,
that.
buddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um.
But some people have criticized this episode, saying because it's dealing with ideas, it's just such a, I don't know, it's such a like a ham-handed thing. It's like, oh, the Ferengi are just like complete scum, and of course, you know, Riker is like awesome, and so the alien immediately is like, oh yes, you guys are great, you guys win the
I don't
morality
think.
contest.
No, I don't think it's because of that. It's the fact that, yeah, but like, yes, Riker did stand up. It was
Handsome guy.
yeah, because you had more than that. Yeah, you had Tasha Yar and Geordi, who were brought down as the away team, if I remember right. Or
Yep.
yeah, so because I think it was him who was hanging upside down. They had to bring him right side up. And I just watched this one today. But yeah, so yeah, Riker goes to talk, because this one always kind of like, I got interested at the beginning, and then it would start to get dull at the end, and I could never understand why, like, what this guy was. But yes, there is a entity down there that they
An
talk
AI?
to. It's called the Portal, I think.
Yeah, he's some kind of like guardian.
He's like a guardian, and he's stealing the energy from both of them. His whole plan was to eliminate them anyway, but he's been watching them and how they do things. So he already kind of had a figure of them before they started talking. But Riker brings up the fact that, yes, we are humans. Yes, we have flaws. If you need to judge us, do what you need to do. And the Ferengi are like, yes, they are flawed. We will sell them out for you. Stuff like that. They're like ready to run them over, like run them under the bus. And it's kind of like a test of admission. Like, if you're willing to accept, like, you take responsibility, stuff like that, you're in a much better standing. But yeah, eventually the portal gives up, and gives the energy back to the Enterprise. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do with these guys? Do you want me to destroy them? And then Riker says no, because then they would never learn anything. So he tells them to give them back. He's like, well, if I do that, they might come back and destroy you. And he goes, well, as humans, as humanity, and as officers of Starfleet, that's something that we are known to deal with. We have to accept that consequence. So it's a good episode. I don't always understand the plot, besides the stuff with the Ferengi. I've not really understood what the portal was, except for the fact that maybe they just encountered an ancient entity down there. And I wouldn't say skip it, because it does, like Kurgan said, it does introduce the first real Ferengi. It's like the first real Ferengi episode. Yeah, it's the first encounter of the Ferengi. So,
and if you used to watch Deep Space Nine, the Ferengi are very different in that show than they are.
You're just thinking of Quark. Okay, but like...
No, I would say even the other Ferengi that you see that there's the Magnificent Ferengi. They have like a whole bunch of them, and they're all just like goofballs. Like these are the kind
Okay,
of these are the
I'm
kind
gonna
of
agree to
guys.
disagree with you there.
These
Like
are the kind of guys who can't fight. They like hire other people to do their dirty work. All they
yeah,
can
okay,
do is
because they
like
make them more about
scam.
profit, and they still are
They're scammers.
profitable. They're still profitable aliens in this one. It's just yes, they're
They're
and
caricatures, but they're more interesting and more threatening. Here is
I don't
what I
think
think.
I don't think it's blatantly different though. Like I think you could still probably match them
Well,
both up and
you
be
could
close.
justify it and say, well, there's millions, billions of these guys, and we just happen to see a few individuals. So how can we judge, right? But
For real, I think it's pretty close. I don't think it's 1-to-1, but I think it's pretty close. It's pretty
okay,
close. They both enjoy
reading the
making
street,
money,
right?
right?
Yeah.
They both really enjoy
These
making
are
money.
these are the Hasbro board of directors. Just kidding.
Oh my god.
Got them.
All right, but anyway, I would
Fired.
put Last Outpost. Well, actually, I'm gonna ask you, where would you put Last Outpost?
Oof.
Because you might know more than I would.
I think there's some good elements in it. Like I said, I pointed out the stuff that I liked. I liked what I consider a better portrayal of the Ferengi, or at least one that I liked more. But the episode itself is kind of dull. It's not bad. It's just not super engaging. I don't know. I tempted to put C, but you might convince me B.
B. Okay. See, this is that thing where I really.
If I watched it again, it would probably change my mind one way or the other. But it's been
See,
a
it's
while.
not horrible. But it's
No.
not like one of my favorites. And like I said, like I always rank things lower than they are. But yes, I would say probably. Yes, it's pretty necessary. We put it as B.
At the time it came out, when it first came out, I remember being just excited just to see something new, and so I liked it back then. But like now, it's like isn't as good. But yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair.
So next one is episode 6, where no one has gone before. This is a Wesley Crusher episode. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Stop, Wesley.
Yes. So if you don't like Wesley Crusher, you're gonna horribly disagree with
I'm going to say
input
something
here.
about Wesley Crusher. I'm going to say this is maybe premature. We'll cover this in future tiers, but I was with the people who thought Wesley was kind of annoying at the start. I mean, I was about his age when you think about it when these episodes were aired. I think later on they took him out of the show. They only brought him back for occasional episodes, and those episodes were actually pretty good. Like they really tried to give him like interesting things to do. So my opinion changed. And looking back, I mean, I can tolerate these early Wesley episodes for the fact that, yeah, they do. There is a trajectory for him. So, anyway,
So
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton. This episode is about the Enterprise receives 2 crew members from the Fearless that come down to do some like warp drive optimizations, pretty much, I would say. They go down to engineering. It is another guy I can't remember because it's like Kraminsky or whatever. It's another name with a K that I have a hard time remembering. Yeah, Krasinski or whatever. And then he is accompanied by a traveler who you cannot pronounce his name in the human language. So he is accompanied by a fellow traveler. They go in to perform their warp drive optimizations with some hesitation by the Enterprise crew. Wesley sits by the traveler. The traveler notices that Wesley is incredibly smart. And then as they are doing their optimizations and they go into warp, there is all of a sudden some snafu that happens. And they go faster than warp 10 and appear 8 billion light years or some crap like that, or 8 million light years ahead from where their heading was.
Remember the exact number, but
leaving them in the galaxy of like M22 or something like that, which is like 300.
The warp scale. They revised the warp scale and the warp factor speeds from the original series. But yeah, the idea is warp 10 is like some barrier. It's some like, oh my gosh, like you went faster than warp 10. What the hell? Like this shouldn't be possible. So yeah, and then those get explored in Voyager much later. But yeah, this is kind of the first time. Is this the first episode where they really mess around with the speeds? I feel like.
Yeah, I can't remember if it wasn't the lizards episode in like TOS where they went faster warp 10, they turned to lizards or some crap like that.
No, that you're thinking of Voyager.
Oh, that's Voyager. Okay, then yeah, this is like
In the very first TOS episode, well, the second one, if you don't count the pilot, but they go to the edge of the barrier of the galaxy, but that's not. I don't think that's in the original series. I think they do warp. They do go warp 10 a few times, but
okay.
it's not. It's in TNG. It's like even crazier because they've revised the speeds. So like yeah, warp 5 is like faster.
Yeah, but they called it the they kept wanting to call it the Krasinski scale or some crap like that. It was funny. It was another funny thing. But yeah, it puts in like 300. It's like supposed to be 300 years or some crap like that, like farther than they get home. They pretty much get stranded.
Be able to get back.
And so they attempt to do it again. It puts them a little bit farther. It puts them into unknown territory, somewhere uncharted. And they start to realize that it's not Krasinski that's doing this because he just gives them bullshit diagnostics and fuddles his way through it, pretending that he knows what he's doing. But it's the Traveler that's doing this. And the Traveler takes interest in Wesley and believes that with Wesley's help, they can get them back home. So, but here's the snafu is the Traveler is dying. So, with a little bit of help from Wesley, who's super smart, put in proper calculations, and I guess when they're out this far into the galaxy, because it's like a really weird part of the galaxy, their thoughts become real. They have to utilize positive thoughts and channel their thoughts into their duties and into the Traveler in order to get back home.
Yeah.
So
like,
it kind of shows a little bit of it.
Like beyond science. Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's like times when like there was like a crew member who was thinking really bad and like half the deck caught fire and he was like, help, I can't get it out, and Picard's like, just think of it going out, and it ends up going away. Like
happy thoughts.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole point of them going home was the Traveler puts the last of his effort into it. Wesley helps. Traveler ends up passing away by fading into nothingness, but they end up getting back home. And I guess Krasinski ends up getting all sad that the dude died, but he kind of eats that humble pie a little bit, which is kind of nice because he's a real jackass.
I like the random crewmen, the one-off characters. Yeah, they're fun.
In this episode?
In any episode, just about.
Oh.
I mean, if you're watching TNG, like if you watch like the front, like of the Enterprise, so Picard gets up out of his chair, pulls his shirt down and he walks forward. Like you always see like the two people in the, I don't know if those are the navigation.
It's ops
or whatever.
It'd be ops and it'd be the ops person and the other. I can't remember what they call it.
They always have some extra, and it's like they'll say, thank you, crewman, and they'll just kind of nod their head because they're not in the Screen Actors Guild. So they don't have any lines. They just kind of smile and then go.
That's so stupid. Like you can't allow them to say yes sir or something like that. Like you don't get lines. You don't. Fuck you. Like
yawn. Yeah, but you occasionally get these other characters where it's like. I mean, I remember in TOS, like, there was one episode where Uhura wasn't there. Like, some other lady was the communications officer for that episode. It's just like, well, of course, you go on break, you go on shore leave, somebody else takes your spot. You can't be up 24/7. So it makes sense that they rotate people in and out. But yeah, they got all these extras. But occasionally, yeah, you'll just get, oh yeah, here's the chief engineer that we never knew about, and he's been there the whole time.
Chief Engineer Logan. Oh man, I can't wait till we get to that one. It's so good.
Oh, okay, sorry, getting ahead of myself.
But yeah, Where No One Has Gone Before is actually a good episode, and I know it's kind of vague about it. Its plot's very, I would say it's simplistic compared to the other ones, but it does introduce Wesley and the fact that he might have special talents. So if you like Wesley, then you're going to agree with my rating. If you don't, well, then it might be a little bit different. But I enjoy this one, and it's a necessary episode. So, because it does mention stuff later on for Mr. Crusher. I think this is also the episode which he gets promoted to ensign.
Acting ensign.
Acting ensign, sorry. And then he gets his application put in for the academy.
Don't allow children on my bridge.
That's right. So in order to bypass that, yes, they make him acting ensign. So I would say this is a good episode, both forward and it's necessary, and I would say it's better than solid. So I'm gonna this is our first A. I'm gonna say this is our first A episode.
I disagree. I'd only put it B, but you're driving, so you win.
Oh. Well, hey, no, B is good. I'm not gonna disagree with you on that either. Like I said, if you had a chart, I would split it, and you could put yours there. I told you next time you should get the tier list.
You don't have a chart. Well, yeah. I
guess you're just fucked, buddy.
Sucks to be you.
The next one is another one that I thought was like a D episode, I think, last time, but I totally got fucked up. This episode 7's Lonely Among Us. Another goofy war face saved this one for me too, because God, man, that was pretty great. So this appears an extra, Chief Engineer Singh, which you love the extras. The Enterprise run into on their way to a destination, run into a gas cloud. Oh no, they're trying to head towards Parliament. I think if I'm correct, because this has another plot including the Antikins and the something else. It's like some lizard people, if I recall. This is the right episode. But they run into a complex energy cloud, and this energy cloud picks them up, or picks up on the Enterprise and starts traveling through people as trying to look through a signal for help. I'm actually going to go through a note here real quick to make sure that's correct. But I want to make sure that I'm absolutely positive on that. But I'm pretty sure that's what this episode is, because there's like a small B plot on here that includes these two feuding factions. And it's supposed to be goofy because I think Riker gets told some bad news and he's walking through, and this fucking lizard man has this fucking it's like something for animals, it's like a little rope. And he grabs him by the neck, what the hell?
I did as a kid, I loved the makeup because you had the two feuding species.
Yes, that's what this is.
Furry guy, the furry lion people, and then the lizard people, and it's we use these to domesticate our animals we eat. It's yeah.
I'm trying to remember what they're called though, but they are heading to Parliament. This is the right episode. I think they're called the Solarians or the Cetarians or whatever. They're lizard people. Yeah. And they're
typical Enterprise is trying to keep these people from killing each other before they get to the conference.
Yes, they're huge enemies. These two species are pretty much on the same universe, but they hate each other. They fucking absolutely hate each other to the point of wanting to kill each other.
I love the episode because of the makeup effects, but now I'm kind of it's kind of boring.
Yeah. So what's going on is they run through this energy pattern, and it first goes through Worf. And if you see Worf's face when he gets it, it's probably the funniest shit I've ever seen. Because I keep forgetting Worf's pained Klingon face is probably the best thing in the world. Hold on, let's see if I can.
He had to express himself through all that makeup, that prosthetic.
Oh God, it's great. Hold on.
See, you're bringing out moments that I'd completely forgotten or dismissed in these episodes.
I gotta rewatch it.
Yeah, man.
See if I can find it though.
A lot of shows you do a marathon and it's just diminishing returns, but TNG, it's a fun ride. Now if you have the nostalgia like I do, that does help a lot.
Is it this? Electrocuted and Angry? Hold on, let me make sure this is it. Yes, this is it.
And then he
because I think I can show this. So don't freak out.
Monetize.
Well, then I guess we are. Okay, so this is it.
Visual jungle. Oh yeah. Yep, this is before they gave him the big metallic bandolier that he wears later. Or sash.
Just wait. For it.
This panel has no honor.
That face right there. Ah!
Yeah, they give him the big teeth.
Right there. Yep. It kills me, dude. Okay, I'm good.
Enhanced a lot of those effects in the remaster.
Yeah, that's classic, dude. That's not like even the Paramount app that I'm watching has like cleared that up a lot more, but that's like super classic. But yeah, it's just so good. Because I bet you they're like, imagine getting electrocuted as a Klingon, but you don't like shake. You just get really fucking upset. And he's like, all right. Like, he's just because it's so corny. It's so corny. It's either that or they had like a one take moment. We're like, that's good. That's good. Don't have to show any emotion after that. Just fall down. All right.
Yeah. Or the prosthetics guy's like, listen, I spent a lot of time on those teeth. You're gonna show them.
You can't fucking shake. You'll throw the whole mask off. Don't shake. Just act in pain.
Yep.
So anyway, that electrical entity, that's what's going through it. It first takes a hold of Worf, moves to Beverly. To simplify, it's pretty much trying to communicate with the Enterprise. Realizes that it can, once it gets to Picard, that it shares the same sense of adventure, and attempts to turn the Enterprise around to go back home. Meanwhile, the feud between these lizard people and the Antikins start to boil, to where they're leaving their quarters and playing hide and seek and trying to eat each other. And it's so fucking forgetful because they show it like twice, this thing. And these are the two people that are trying to take the Enterprise to Parliament too. Well, the Enterprise gets deviated twice because eventually Picard gets taken over by this energy thing, and he ends up turning the whole fucking Enterprise around. And Riker and Beverly are like, what are you doing? He's like, the sense of adventure takes precedent. He's like, do I have to call security to get you guys off the bridge? And so pretty much he like forces them to leave. Beverly finds out that he's being taken hold. And then they kind of play along with it until they find out that this entity is going to take Picard energy only into the cloud, in which they try to relieve him of duty, and then they end up suspending the whole crew. Picard leaves, ends up becoming energy only. They try to look for him. I guess it doesn't work out. Picard gets in danger, ends up doing the same thing the energy thing did. He ends up flowing through the Enterprise. Data and Riker tried to beam him back from energy, and they end up beaming his matter back together, which is very confusing.
Like power.
Yeah, they were like, well, like this Picard is the Picard before he left, and I'm like, what? So yeah, like it's very
kind of messes with your head. It's like, okay, if that's true, all the other episodes just get thrown.
Well,
but don't they? Isn't there a moment where Troy
it's just before he left the energy cloud? So it's like everything that happened before he left for the energy cloud didn't happen. So he just remembers trying to beam out, and that was it. So it's not like he lost a huge span of time. It's just he went to go beam out with the energy thing, and then doesn't remember anything past that. So it's weird how they try to explain it.
The philosophy of the transporter is a big topic in Star Trek circles. It's like, does it kill you and create a new person, or do you have a soul that gets reconstituted?
I was always told that it takes your matters and breaks them up and then rearranges you back together.
Which in our universe would kill you, but I mean,
yes,
it's unless there's a soul or something that is a backup of your pattern that you can. I always
tried to figure that out, how in the world, how would you feel, you'd be broken up.
They do explore it a little bit more in this series. There's a later episode where Barclay he goes in and he's awake in the transporter, which is not supposed to be normal, and so there is some continuity of consciousness that happens. And I think even in this episode, I want to say there's a moment where Troy can sense him, because she's only half Beta Zit, so she can detect emotions rather than being a full telepath. But she's somehow knows that that's the real Picard, or that's where he is, and so then
she detects him on the ship, energy, she detects him, but he ends up signaling on the the panels that he's there, And they're like, okay, let's get the transporter and maybe he can like move his way down there, and he does. So that's kind of like where we're at right now, or where it was right now. But like as far as like how to explain that stuff, I kind of just like let my brain go to mush and just
Star Trek
it
and
just
philosophy.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually most of the Star Trek stuff kind of makes sense. It's supposed to be like, to me, less about the fiction and more about the reality of exploring unknown areas.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it still has its fiction in there. But
in all science fiction, you kind of have to suspend disbelief, because some of the stuff, it's like if you asked a physicist, he'd be like, no, that's not even, that doesn't make any sense. Technobabble, they call it.
Goodbye.
Yeah, it's impossible. But in some sense, it's sort of like in Star Wars. It's like, well, how can the Death Star exist? Well, it just does, and now you have to deal with the consequences.
That's right.
It's not. But I mean, if it was magic versus technology, would it make a difference to the story? No.
So, Lonely Among Us is. It doesn't. I don't think it really has a lot of life lessons to it. It's goofy, because at the end of the episode, Tasha Yar comes in with a thing. She's like, "Hey, I think one of the Antikins ate the other party," and she's like, the cook came in saying that like they needed to cook reptile. So I was like, oh, okay, so that's where we are with the B plot.
Yeah, I liked those costumes. Most of Star Trek, they did not have the money to keep doing these like Aliens of the Week with their cool prosthetics.
Oh yeah, the Klingons for TOS were just people.
Yeah, they were just
regular.
people.
Yeah, which they explain. They explain more in TNG.
Yeah.
It's a long
it's more like
story.
A different culture than not discuss it with outsiders. And in Enterprise, they explained it, so it's just like, okay, interesting. But I think a lot of the aliens, the supposed aliens, they were just humans with face tattoos, or they put a little bit of putty on their forehead, and then that's supposed to be an alien. But in TOS, they just would have been humans. So it was interesting to see them kind of blow out the budget by having these like really elaborate costumes and prosthetics for the aliens. So
it was
A
nice.
for effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if the story was that compelling.
I would say the same thing. It was goofy. It's funny. I wouldn't say it was bad, but it's not necessary. It doesn't stand out. I'd give it a C.
Yeah, agreed.
Next comes to one of my all-favorite episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Justice. It's one of my favorite episodes of... Yeah, it's one of my favorite episodes of one of them. Of season 1. And I say this because it really does explore the rule of the Prime Directive.
They catch you off guard with this one. They play up, they dial up the sex appeal at the start, and you're confused by that. But then you're paying attention. Yeah. So they go to this planet where, so later in the series, they develop this idea of the pleasure planet, Risa, where it's like Vegas. Everybody goes, and whatever happens there stays there. But here it's like a version of that. It's supposed to be paradise. Everybody's like beautiful, and they're dressed in these like skimpy outfits, and they're running around. Oh,
they make love at the drop of a hat.
Any hat. Really? And everybody's like super turned on and like pervy about it. Like, oh boy, these natives, their culture is so amazing.
And then here you go, they go down to get greeted, and they're all getting kissed on the neck and stuff like that. And then Worf, she's like, I really want to welcome this big guy, and Worf's like, this is a nice planet. and
he's like super, yeah.
And they all get cock-blocked by Wesley, because Wesley shows up. She's like, oh, it's a young guy. He's like, how do we greet you? And he's like, I guess like everybody else. And they're like, nope.
Mom's like, no.
So like he has to ruin all the fun, because they're like, well, we could just have him meet at the council. We're gonna have our fun. And they're like, oh no, that wouldn't be fair. So
take your kid to the brothel.
Yeah, so they go take him to play with the other kids while things start to get heated, and then this planet, the Enterprise crew, the away team, learns of this one flaw that they didn't see anywhere else. Even when they were looking up the rules and laws of this planet, doesn't have a lot of crime, but what it does have is it does have mediators who do supervise in case there's a crime. And there's these white areas that they change intermittently, if these white areas are trespassed, or if they commit a crime in these white areas, like if they break a law, then there's capital punishment, which it's just the death penalty. It's just the death penalty. You are immediately get met by a mediator, and they put you to death right there on the spot. So they find out about this, and as this is happening, Wesley's playing like ball with these kids, and they throw one long, and he's like, "Oh, I'll go get it," and they're like, "No, don't! We threw it too far!" And then he ends up tripping over the white line and falling into these flowers. And the rule is you can't disturb new flowers when they're in that big old box. And he breaks that whole thing, and the mediators come running, and everybody's scared. And he's like, "What?" He's like, "It's fine. I'm okay." He's like, "You're not even worried about the flowers." He's just like, "I'm okay." And like, the people are like, "What happened here?" He's like, "I'm all right." And they explain it to him, and he like freaks out a little bit. And then the Enterprise crew comes down, and they're like, "You're not actually gonna punish him, are you? Like, we didn't know. Like, nobody knew. Nobody told us about this." And they're like, we don't abide by ignorance here. And they take out a needle, and like Riker's like, you're not actually going to do what we think you're going to do, are you? He's like, yeah, he's going to be put to death. So don't scare him, because we want to get this over quick. And like, they all pull out phasers and like, get down. Like Riker like sucker punches the dude. And it was very, it's very emotional right there, because if you're first watching it, it's like, oh, they're going to put a child to death. And the child had no fucking idea. Like, there is no like, oh, okay, well, this is your first offense. You are new to the planet.
Yeah, it's paradise, but zero tolerance.
Like, and it's zero tolerance. Like, you didn't read the sign? Like, well, no, because we didn't know that there was the death penalty here. So, and like Picard was like, well, didn't you read anything on the laws? Like, they had nothing stating they had the death penalty. So these people are crying out for death, and everybody else is stating that
all the Wesley haters are like, do it.
Yeah, and like, Beverly's in tears because she's like, they can't kill my son, I won't let you do it. And then on top of that, they recognize there's an entity above this planet that's calling out for, excuse me, real quick, I'm getting a text message at 10:42 in the PM from work for some reason.
All right, I'll keep going. So they basically meet an alien, and it's like, is that God? And then like the character's like, yeah. So there's this entity that's like watching over the planet, and so basically Picard has to like argue with this God figure about absolutes and like all this stuff, and it's so interesting because it's so out of character, in my opinion, for how they've established Picard as like this rule follower. He believes in the ideals of the Federation. He always does stuff by the book, or he tries to, right? But here it's like, it's kind of more like Kirk, where it's like, screw that, this is wrong, we're not going along with it, and I don't care who you are.
Yeah, he had to ask. Well, he asked Data about it. He talks to Data about it a little bit. He's like, "Hey, like."
He doesn't just make a snap decision. That's true. He deliberates.
Because the entity ends up learning about the Prime Directive through Data and everybody else, and like, well, just through Data and all of what Starfleet's about. And he's like, well, like, what do you think they would feel about us if we violated the Prime Directive? And he goes, well, they might deem you as deceitful or untrustworthy. And he's like, well, he goes, the big problem is, though, is how would they feel? How do they view the Prime Directive? And that's kind of what it is like Picard's taking a stab at what the Prime Directive is here, because he's like saying, well, we don't want to involve ourselves in other people's societies or rules, but it's coming down to one of my crew members who's violently in danger, and like we really didn't know, so is this an exception? And like at the end of the episode, they make this decision to take Wesley, and everybody's like, you guys are evil, like they don't want him on the planet anymore, and like they're like, God's going to punish you and blah blah blah. And they're like, well, we'll see about that. He goes to beam him up, and they don't beam up. They're like, interference. And they're like, God has intervened for us. And he goes, and Beverly's like, well, your God's evil because my son didn't know. And what happens is Picard's like, I don't know if this is going to work, but he starts spieling off about how, like, there should be exceptions to the rule and, like, stuff like that. But Riker says something that's really memorable. And he goes, when did justice ever come out of a rule book or something like that. Or
Okay,
when was
okay.
anything as simple as a rule book, something like that. But it was like really, it actually made sense. It was a hitting point.
Yeah.
And then they
A lot of
beamed
people
up.
like this episode because of the philosophical discussion about justice.
Because yes, and I believe that. Like that, there's a difference between being taken advantage of by rules and then like there being something as like white and black, like having a
What is
strict
the purpose?
setting.
What is the purpose of the law? What does the
Yeah,
law do? What is it
like
there for?
people do make mistakes. Things do happen. Like you can be somebody with a strict set of principles and rules, but at the end of the day, you're going to run into people who just don't see that all the time, and we should give people those chances, even if it's just not rules, like just something as far as like you said, the law in general, like following a strict code, and
Yeah. And it's not going to be perfect. There's always going to be situations where you thought you made the right decision, but there's still consequences. They're still imperfect. Somebody's left out. There's always going to be some imperfection in it, and so
so
it deals with that realistically.
so where would you put justice, Kurgan?
Ooh, yeah. I'm tempted to say A actually.
Hey,
I mean, you start off watching the episode and think, oh man, this is just going to be another pervy Roddenberry episode, but it gets into some good stuff towards the end, and kind of makes you think.
so I put it in A.
Which to me is the best of TNG, like the ones where they get to some nice philosophical question and they deal with it in a way that's not like over the top, like black and white, like smack you in the face. Like the characters are trying to navigate this moral quandary, right?
Mm-hmm.
This situation. And so it gets you, the audience, to kind of think about it, right? It's kind of fun.
So that's correct. I put it in A.
Yes,
Sorry.
got him.
I had a cough and like my throat burned a little bit. So the
I
next
will
one
say
is
though that one
Oh,
thing
go
I'll
ahead.
say about one last thing about Justice. The only thing that might ruin it for some people is the way Picard deals with the problem and the whole question of the Prime Directive and interfering with a lot of their cultures. In the wider context of Star Trek, you could say he doesn't make calls like this. Other times he makes the wrong decision, and like he sort of forgets the lessons that he had from this episode. But I
What?
think
Okay, why do you think sports fan?
if you set that aside, we
Because
got a comment.
I was gonna say I don't think I don't see that yet. I think that he
Well,
made this decision mostly based on the fact that it was his crew.
yeah. But I think the way he treats the Prime Directive kind of just as like blind dogma in later episodes. I feel like some later episodes, not all. So
Okay.
I think of all the Prime Directive moral quandary episodes, I think this one was handled well. And maybe that's, you could say, well, different writers, maybe they have a different belief, and so they think, like, they have an idea what the right call was, but maybe the audience is going to disagree. But when it's the character, you think, okay, he's going to be consistent. I mean, people aren't always consistent, but I feel like at this point, you're building Picard's character. You're building his thought process, his morality, right? And so if a later episode contradicts that, it's like, okay, so something big must have happened to change his mind, to make him think it was something else. But I guess it's not really fair to judge this episode that way because those episodes haven't been written yet, right? We've just, from what we've seen so far, it's kind of like the Ferengi thing. It's like, why would you judge it based on later episodes? So I'm
That's
not going to
right.
hold that against it, because otherwise I would put it, I would either put it lower or I'd put those other episodes lower.
All right.
Anyway,
So we've got
opinionated man.
episode 9, the battle. So this is another Ferengi episode. Speaking of Ferengi, I can't remember.
Just the Picard maneuver.
Who's the Damon in this one? It's Damon. Is Damon Talk? Damon Talk, right?
It's either Talk or Bach.
Damon Bach. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. Yeah, Damon Bach. Damon Bach. Yeah. With his first officer, and I can't remember his first officer's name either. But
some of the actors who play the Ferengi have early roles in these episodes, playing different characters.
But they do a good job.
Yeah, they do. I like this episode a lot. I think this is one of the
So,
better Ferengi episodes.
so hold on. The Enterprise is visited by a Ferengi vessel carrying a is it Constellation class? I think it's Constellation class, right?
Sounds right.
Which is
Well, actually,
happens to be Picard's old ship, the Stargazer. It's an old school Federation starship. Um, and the person carrying it on this Ferengi ship is a captain that goes by the name Damon Bach, which I think Damon is their version of captain.
title.
So he advises Picard that even though the Ferengi are profitable specimens, they want profit, they want trade, this gift is to Picard for no charge because he was known as the hero of Maxia.
Yep.
And Picard, not knowing exactly what he meant at first, gets kind of brought up to speed. Once again, remembers what he did, which Data recalls as he pulled this maneuver called the Picard maneuver. Once they were under fire by an unknown vessel at Maxia, which they recognized to be Ferengi, I believe, Picard ordered the helmsman to go into warp, I believe, right at the last second, pulled back, and he appeared to be in two places at once, and the Ferengi fired at the wrong ship, the wrong illusion, and they were able to throw everything they had at the Ferengi vessel, therefore destroying it. Picard also, throughout this entire episode, has this very unknown headache, and people don't get, I guess, according to them, they don't get headaches like this very frequently. So Beverly Crusher is very confused and bewildered at the fact that he's having this headache throughout this entire time, which is only getting worse. And then as they pick up the Stargazer, Picard visits the Stargazer, goes back to his old quarters, picks up some of his things, and realizes the audience is brought up to speed that there is what appears to be a mind-altering orb, in which Damon Bach uses from his ship to adjust and manipulate Picard's mind, therefore increasing his pain, and eventually, at some point in time in the episode, bring him back to the Stargazer alone, which Damon Bach has configured with the computer on board that ship to take his commands and run the ship for him. So he now thinks he's in the Battle of Maxia all over again, and he is now going up against the Enterprise with the Stargazer. Now, Kurgan, would you like to tell us how this episode ends, since you're such a huge fan of it?
No, I wouldn't. I think you should see it for yourself.
Oh.
I think the whole Picard maneuver is awesome. I think the way the Ferengi
such a big fan. Doesn't want to spoil anything.
Yeah. It was one of those episodes that sounds simple. It sounds like there isn't much to it, but it's actually really well acted, I think. It's got the drama. It's got the plot twists.
Well,
I think it's great.
I guess I explained it well enough that we don't have to say the ending. So,
yeah. I think if we do the synopsis, the problem I like the synopsis is good for those of you who haven't seen the show, but I don't want to take up like all the time with that. I know that we got a lot to go through, but just trust me on this one. This is a good episode. Watch it. Tell me I'm wrong.
I liked it. I don't believe it's necessary to watch, though. But I liked it. I thought it was good.
Necessary to watch. I think it's... Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, do they ever really touch back on this? Not really, but I think it's a good character episode for Picard, I think. I think it shows that he did have, a history and a life before he was captain of the Enterprise.
That's true, and I guess Justice isn't really a necessary episode either, so we can go off favorite episodes. So yeah, I guess we can put in A.
Yep.
That's fair enough.
I would have said S, but fair enough. Guess I got my own tier.
Like I said, man, you are more than capable. Like I said, you didn't want to spoil the whole thing. I like doing the synopsis. It helps keep me refreshed.
Yeah, that's true.
But we can kind of keep it a little simple so we can pass through a little quicker than this.
Don't get me wrong. This is fun. I would do this.
I
Every
like
show.
doing this a lot. So I was thinking about doing this every once in a while. Like we can do season 2 eventually, but
Yeah.
I'm a huge person of going through these. So
RantCast.
yeah, dude, we do a tier list every now and then.
Yeah. None of this 8 episodes per season bull crap like we do today.
Yeah. Episode 10, Hiding Q. This is another Q episode. Enterprise challenged once again by the dangerous and powerful Q, who offers Riker godlike powers in exchange for Riker's membership with the Q Continuum. So I'll kind of keep it short with that. Q tests Riker on his different stages, different stages of different tests. He brings some of the away team along with him, gives Riker powers of the Q Continuum temporarily. Riker is thereby power hungry momentarily, but I think the episode does a really good job of showing that over time he learns that the power of the Q is not all it's cracked up to be, and not everybody on the Enterprise wants it.
Yeah.
So
definitely a philosophy moment.
So I think that's better, right? We'll keep it a little bit shorter. It's better. This is a good Riker episode, and it's Q. So I'm not just saying it's just Q, but like John Delancey. These early John Delancey episodes are nice, and they
make him
kind of
goofier as time goes on.
Yes, this kind of helps a little bit. So
Picard never hit me.
It was there was a big bet in this episode between Picard and Q on whether or not Riker would take the Q powers and use them, kind of either I think unjustly, and I think that was the big thing, and I think he used a big stake on it, like he bet a very large bet on it, and I think it's what helps cost him in the next Q episode, which is not till season 2. Like deeper into season 2. So
we also get to learn the mating behaviors of Klingon in this episode.
Yes.
So
is that Hiding Q? I thought that was Justice or something when he was talking about how he.
This is sex.
Oh yes,
no place in my heart for it at this time.
Yeah, that's right. He like spawns a female Klingon. Yeah.
Sidling up to him, and he's like throws her across the room.
Yep.
Poor
Worf.
And Wesley turns into like an older guy.
Yes, he turns Wesley into an adult, and then he eventually tells Riker that he just wants to do it on his own. He like pretty much gives everybody like genie like wishes. Yeah. And Q's like, "Are you sure you don't want them?" Like, yeah, stuff like that. Like, it's pretty good. I would encourage, once again, just like Kurgan says, I encourage you to watch it for yourself. It's a good episode. And I would put Hiding Q in my... because it's really good.
It's got some shocking moments. Yeah. It's hovering between A and B. You make the call.
And it's kind of necessary. So, yeah, let's do A. We'll do A for this one. See... I like a lot of season 1. It's good.
A Q episode. It's a Jonathan Frakes shining as Riker episode. Yeah, that's fair.
Next one's also gonna be hard, so but whatever. Haven. It's episode 11.
Busted him up episode.
This is Counselor Deanna Troi.
Oh shoot!
Caught between her feelings for Riker and her devotion to family customs.
Everybody's naked.
I'm not gonna lie on you. I fell asleep on this episode.
Was this the Loxana Troi?
Yes. So this is the one where Loxana Troi's first appearance. She has I can't remember she's supposed to be engaged to this man named Wayne.
Gene Roddenberry's wife. Yeah.
I can't remember who Counselor Troi is supposed to be married to. She's supposed to get married to this one guy, and she's getting set up with him, and he's like a doctor. So, I like the appearance of Loxana Troy in this one. The rest of the episode is awful. I'm just gonna say this right now.
Soap opera.
It's done awfully. Like, I feel like this was an embarrassment to her because she is supposed to get engaged to this man, and this man is supposed to show interest. But he is, and I can kind of understand that he's a doctor. He's more concerned with helping people. But I guess there's there's a species that is undergoing, once again, another virus. There's a whole lot of virus episodes in this fucking show. And
we've eliminated all the diseases on Earth, but there's all the space viruses they got to deal with.
Yeah, and all that's left of their species is on this one ship. And it's a ship that, like, everybody thought they were extinct. Their planet was gone.
Are these the Irish people?
No, I don't know. No, they're not the Irish people.
That's different.
But what happened was he's seeing this girl in his dreams, and they're seeing him in their dreams, and so he thinks it's destiny. So he fucking beams into that ship, and once he does that, he's caught it. So he has to spend his time down there fixing everything. But the girl's like, "Oh, we're so glad you came," and like, he was just like, "I'm sorry, Deanna, but I had to, even though we were supposed to be married." And we're supposed to dedicate our lives to each other. Like, Dream Girl appeared on the view screen, and I got hard, and I left.
Great.
So I see it's an episode of fate, right? His career called him to do something amazing, and he put his love interest away for his career. I get where the show was going with that message. It did not do it very well. It pretty much states that a man is leaving his wife for his career to do something, but is also leaving it for a dream girl as well. Because the girl is in the skimpiest outfit possible. She is flirting with him in all sense of the word. There's nothing like neutral about this. So yes, he's trying to save a species. If that's all this was about, like if it wasn't the dreams or anything, it was like, oh, you're the only doctor we can count on. He has knowledge about this virus. They're like a month away from being extinct. They can't go anywhere else. They're running out of resources. I'll beam down. This is my life's calling. I'm sorry. Maybe once this gets settled, I'll come back. If you're still around, I'll be there. And even that seems awkward. But, like, the way they played this out was, like, he still gets the girl, and he is saving lives. It's like a bad episode of ER.
No, man.
So, I do like Loxana Troy because she always appears and says weird things about Picard, about how he's thinking dirty thoughts about her.
Oh.
And
yeah, because they're full telepaths. So yeah, it's like, is she lying? Is she just teasing him, or is he really like?
Oh, Picard. Not even so and so thought this way about me. He like looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it would be just she's almost like somebody with no filter. Like
no, she doesn't have any filter, and that's the best part. Like she comes off as like a real asshole at the beginning, but like because she's always reading people's minds. Or like trying to get involved with stuff, and it's but she like doesn't care that her son-in-law pretty much is left the ship for somebody else, and she's like, oh, I'm proud of you, you're doing something great. And like Deanna just kind of like is left looking emotionless, which to me I guess is maybe a Beta Z quality. Like and that's another thing that I think I brought up with you about this is like she is emotionless throughout this whole season. It's very, later, very emotionless.
She's always breaking down. She's eating like chocolate ice cream, and she's like.
Well, I think it's because she's pregnant in season 2.
Oh shoot! Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Well,
I think she's actually pregnant. So.
Yeah, she is. You're right. I forgot about that.
She's always breaking down, crying. Women and hormones, right? Like, come on.
Am I right? Come on.
No, but I would definitely say that like they don't give her enough credit. It's the same thing with like Tasha Yarn here. They don't give Counselor Troy too much credit. Like she's always like the emotional punching bag. And I guess I get that right because she's a counselor, but like it's one of those things where I think Roddenberry gave her a backseat to a lot of things, and there's supposed to be tension between her and Riker, and they don't expand on that at all. And it's one of the show's weak points because they have areas where they are supposed to. They're supposed to show it. But she just kind of sits back and lets Riker make out with whoever the fuck he wants, and like she doesn't interject or say anything. I mean, and granted, once again, they are not together. They're in a professional environment. But like not even showing the characters like emotional side once, it's very weird.
Have her go to her quarters and like just beat up on the punching bag or something.
Or just like like have an emotional, like she had it in the first episode. She had an emotional moment with Riker. Riker told her like, "Hey, you have your orders. Get the fuck out of here." And she like swallowed it down. And went, okay, and like that's enough to show that she cares for him. But like every other time, she's just sitting there going, like just blank, like, and I was like, it sucks. So I'm gonna say because I enjoy Haven for Loxana Troy. And it is necessary. I would say it's necessary to watch if you want to know about Troy's mom and the first introduction. However, the plot to this one to me is lame, and it's not done very well. So I'm gonna say,
as a kid, thinking like, wait a minute, they're gonna show like naked people on TV. They can't do that.
I'm gonna say it's not bad. It's not good. I'm almost thinking D, but I'll put it in the C range because it has some saving qualities, which is
I'd be okay putting it D.
I mean, I'm pretty forgiving. I like Loxana Troy, so I think that she kind of saved it a little bit.
I came to tolerate it, but at this stage, I was like similar to Wesley. I'm just like this is another pathetic life.
Are you ready? Are you ready for my favorite episode of all time so far?
Yeah.
The Big Goodbye, episode 13. No, that's episode 12. Big Goodbye. So, the holodeck malfunctions. Captain and 3 crew members become trapped in San Francisco, 1941, where they're held hostage by murderous gangsters. The Big Goodbye is one of my favorite episodes because it has almost nothing to do with Star Trek regularly. It is
I liked it too.
It is a holodeck episode.
The criticisms are valid. The holodeck malfunction was so popular that they reused that plot way too much throughout this series, through the other series. It just was out of control. But here, it was a fresh concept.
Yes.
The other criticism was this is taking off another TOS episode, piece of the action, where they go to a planet where basically people were raised on like gangster novels. And so, it's like an excuse to use like the costumes and the sets and Tommy guns and New York accents and everything. But I'm with you. I think this was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. And
it's very goofy. It's very
fresh.
Very buddy. Yes, and it's very fresh. So Picard takes a small little vacation as Dixon Hill, the private detective, and does nothing that Dixon Hill is supposed to do. Right. He ends up trying to take breaks in between his holodeck experience. So you can go to the bridge.
Yeah.
Yes, and like in between that, because I always thought, well, wouldn't the holodeck pause? It doesn't. The story keeps going.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the holodeck. It's like, who the heck programmed this? This is like the Matrix. It's supposed to be just like a theme park or like a video game.
But he's eventually joined by 3 other crew members. I can't remember the one guy. Because it's supposed to be like another, like, what is it, like a off, kind of like a third party crew member, and then it's
an extra or
it's a guy who's supposed to be interested in the history of it, and then you've got Beverly Crusher and Data who are joining them in, and Data is hamming it up this entire fucking episode. So he's like pulling off all the spoofs from the 1940s and.
Yeah, because he can memorize the lore from the movie.
Picard's in the interrogation room. He's getting cooked. It made me laugh. I enjoyed that stuff. But but yeah, I just remember that like he was enjoying his time in the interrogation room. He's getting interrogated by cops, and like Beverly's like, well, he can't have all the fun, and like no, like that's not what that's supposed to be about. He's getting in there getting grilled by detectives. But yeah,
Yep.
it's pretty good, and even
Yeah, it's
after
a
all this goofiness,
relaxation.
after all the goofiness and the fun parts, when it starts to get serious, there's a nice serious tone to this. Um, at the end of the episode, there's like one of the holodeck NPCs who's supposed to be Dixon Hill's friend, who you see throughout the episode. He like shows up to arrest like one of the gangsters, and Picard goes to leave. The door's opening, and they realize there's a door there, and they can't go out of it because like the big gangster tried to leave and he got eviscerated. So he asks him, he's like, hey, hey Dix, am I still gonna be here when you leave? Are my wife and kids gonna be at home? And he looks at him and goes, I don't know.
Yep.
And
Existential crisis there. It's like
it kind of leaves that dread, and he like looks down. He's like really, and like it's really weird that your NPC is sentient. Like,
so you're saying I'm just a video game character?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really weird because like those NPCs are all over the place, but it's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, questions about AI and stuff. But it's like, yeah, okay, so they wasted all that processing power making these guys like self-aware. But that's going to come back. There are going to be a few other holodeck episodes that were interesting.
And I guess the malfunction wasn't it like what happens to the malfunction is it's like they can't naturally get hurt when they're in the holodeck, but that malfunction causes them to actually get hurt by gunshots. The third party crew member gets shot and he ends up starting to die because he gets shot in the stomach, so he's bleeding out. Beverly has to kind of help out with that, so they have to kind of play it by ear, and the doors won't appear when he calls out for the exit. So they're trying to fix everything. So I think Wesley and Geordi come down to try to fix the holodeck door.
Computer and program.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where like they can't. They were like talking about the risk it might cause because it might close the program while they're in it and stuff like that. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Like Jurassic Park episode. Yeah, the pirates of Penzance break down and kill everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm this to me is S tier.
You know what? I'd agree with you.
I very much enjoy The Big Goodbye. I would rewatch this episode many times. It's not particularly a necessary episode. You can skip it. It's personally on S tier because it's a episode I enjoy watching. And
it has drama. It has humor.
Yeah. I'd watch it all the time. What's this one? Oh yes, Data Law, episode 13.
We disagree on this one. I rank this one much higher than you do, I think.
Data's android lookalike formulates an evil master plan that could destroy the Enterprise. Yes, with the crystalline entity. So yes, I did have it lower at one point in time. This is a necessary episode because Lore does make an appearance again. So I feel like, yes, so I do feel like this is a necessary episode. So to simplify, Enterprise crew finds, what's the engineer's name? Sunian something or other.
Oh, Dr. Noonien Sung.
Noonien Soon, which is the creator of Data and Lore, both. They find it at this abandoned like town or something like that. All these people are gone, but they find out that Data has this brother. I guess you'd call him brother or clone.
So Brent Spiner plays both characters.
Yes,
and
he does.
Very differently, very, very interestingly.
And where Lore is a more humanistic version of the android, as Data is more robotic. So, like I said, to put it simply, Lore is the yang, I guess, to the yin. He's like a little bit more evil, but he just pretends to be good on the Enterprise. But I guess he formed a plot. He forms a plot with the crystalline entity, which he already did attempt to destroy the village or the town before him. He attempts to take over the Enterprise, disguised as Data in some moments.
And there's the really funny moment where is this the one where, or no, I'm thinking of a different episode. Is this the one where he scrambles the password? Or no, that's a different episode.
No.
Yeah, never mind.
I thought this was season 1 where they did that. I think that's
yeah, it's a different one.
Isn't it Neutral Zone or Conspiracy? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I think okay. So, but the bigger point is, he does a great job of portraying it as, well, what if Data had a different personality, and he wasn't so benevolent. Like, what if he wanted to do
pretty much Nguyen Sung or got rid of Lore because people didn't like him. He was too human.
Yeah,
he was like too evil.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a Frankenstein. It's like he was wronged. They disassembled him, but I mean, he wanted revenge, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to destroy, and he would manipulate people into getting what he wanted.
So he used the crystalline entity to eliminate everybody.
Yep. Yeah, because it feeds on human bioelectrics or something. It kills them. It eats them. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So, predator.
Data lore is necessary. It's actually a pretty good episode.
Yeah. The other episodes with lore are not as good as this one. I think this is like really fresh, really good.
And I think they did the camera angles pretty well. I would say I'll put this in B. It's solid.
I'd rate it higher. I'd rate it S or B.
You rate it S tier? Okay. It's best of Trek?
Maybe S is too much. A, at least.
Really? Yeah, you know what? I'll agree with you.
Data has an off switch. Oh, got him.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. It's a necessary episode. It's got first appearance of lore. It's got a pretty good plot line. Like it gets you at the edge of your seat sometimes, especially when that stuff between Data and Lore where he knocks him out and stuff like that or turns him off. It's pretty good.
He threatens Wesley.
I have another good episode coming up too. See, it's not the ones that are See, I liked that episode, but I also like things like this one.
But you'll notice they had some good episodes early on, so it keeps you watching, keeps you coming back. This was other than TOS. Well, TOS had bad ratings, that's why it was canceled. But they did the ratings differently. They didn't think of demographics back then. But TNG had really high ratings, and to a lot of people this is peak Trek. Maybe not this season, but the series itself, and these were the episodes that established it, that got people coming back week after week, word of mouth, and just had it grow and grow. So, yeah, they did a great job.
Okay,
a few misfires here.
For this one here, we've got episode 14, Angel 1. You remember Angel 1?
I just remember Riker gets his little Riker. Let's just say he gets a piece of the action.
So in a environment where the roles are reversed, the woman is the moneymaker, the handler, the hunter, all that stuff, and the man is the cook, clean, which is really weird because today's standards that really doesn't care. That it really doesn't matter. That would have been big 40 years ago, but.
It's what if you reversed?
But the man is more feminine, I guess, as they would put it, right? I guess
the domestic role, the nurturing role.
So the roles were reversed.
Go-getter, the breadwinner, leader,
and demands more respect, I suppose. So it's a role reversal planet, and I guess the premise in this one is there were rebellers. There was a Federation starship that crashed there about 7 years prior to the Enterprise coming down to try to rescue them. And they ended up rebelling against Angel 1 after getting their help, mostly because they didn't like their values. And this episode kind of speaks to the fact that, like, I guess it's the same thing that most people are speaking to nowadays, I guess. You know, don't put anybody in a corner. Don't put anybody down.
Yeah. Because if you just say, well, we're going to dominate this group, and that's like, no, we're going to reverse it, and we're going to dominate you. It's like, no, why can't you work together? Like,
I don't want to speak out too much, but yes, Riker does end up using a lot of his charm to charm the leader of Angel One, which is weird because she is supposed to be the dominant person, but she kind of feels the same feelings that somebody in the role back then would feel. She gets in touch more with her feminine self, I suppose. Yeah. And
well, even the big CEOs, they can fall victim to the lure of the flesh. So
it's true. But so what happens is, I guess, like, her second in command is somebody who wants to be more of wants to have the other role, and she is in love with one of the rebels.
Yeah.
And this is a Riker-based moment because I guess there's a point in time when a lot of these people are put to death at Angel One. Like, the punishment for being a traitor is death. So their goal was to get them off this planet before that happens, and they made the agreement. But the big thing is, and like a lot of Star Trek episodes, a lot of these people do not want to leave. They're happy with where they're at, which is weird because these guys are technically they're criminals. But they explain kind of why they want to stay on Angel One. And when it comes down to it, Riker makes a plea deal and kind of helps save the crew, or these rebels and traitors to Angel One. That includes both the crew and anybody who joined the crew going forward. This is a good episode because I think it explains role reversals and how not everybody is willing to adjust. And that's more than just in this environment, but in any environment. There's not a lot of people who acclimate to change or to certain, I guess, environments. And on that planet, it is law, right? So I wouldn't particularly say that it's as good as Justice, but I put it close to there because it speaks on people's freedoms a lot.
Yeah.
But
I can remember not really liking it at the time, but yes, if you focus on the ideas, there's definitely something there to chew on.
Also, Riker gets his dick wet.
Yep.
And he abandoned search. He abandoned search for 4 people just to get his dick wet, which is pretty funny.
Correct me on this because it has been a little while since I watched this one. Is it a case of Riker just abusing his power to get them, or is there an ulterior motive? Because I remember Kirk would do this sometimes. He would be charmed by a woman, or he would pretend to charm her, and really he had an ulterior motive. Like, haha, I gotcha.
His goal was to talk to the leader about releasing the traitors to them so they could get them off planet, and she was hesitant. She offered him company and then to talk to him more. So he said, that's fine. Well, let's, we'll spend the night together. Let me let my away team know. And so immediately as they're waiting for him to go on the search, he goes, away team, I'm going to spend more time with this lady. I'm going to need you to go and start the search without me. And Tasha's like, what? Wait, what? He goes, you have your orders. Go. And he just goes, and the curtain shuts, and they start getting down with it. So I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, because he had a mission there, but he was supposed to talk to her about it and then go grab the rebels. But it turned into an all-night affair. So
yeah, but I guess I'd have to watch it again. But I thought afterwards he said something, and she realized that he was manipulating her.
No,
because you could look at it as
he appeals to her sense of self a lot, especially during the end. Like, she has feelings for him, and like,
Well, they're manipulating each other. It's not just a case of like,
I
well,
guess,
you're kind of hot. Oh, really? You think
because I don't
I'm?
think it's manipulation. It's not like he just wants her for that goal. I think Riker had a. I think like a lot of Starfleet officers, especially in the first season, they come with a sense of purpose. I think Riker
Yeah.
was just a horn dog, and like at the end
Yeah.
of the day,
Well, and
at the end of the day,
we see in later episodes
it didn't
where he
matter whether or
seems
not he
to.
got some. He just wanted to get his goal accomplished. He just like James Bond, you know. If the woman pulled her pants down, then I guess he's ready to go. But
Yeah.
like, I guess that was the whole point was, because that's how it seemed in the show was she initiated and he finished. He finished the job. So, and it's very, that's the surprising point to me because it's coming from a planet where the women are the domineering species, and that so.
Well, maybe to her it's an exotic challenge. He's from this other culture that doesn't agree with their ideals, and it's like,
Well, and
wow,
she
I think
challenges him the first couple times, and he like challenges her back, and I'm thinking that's what it
like
is. Is
she sees him more like an equal rather than a subordinate. So it's kind
correct.
of like subverting what she's used to thinking about.
Which is, I think, the message more than anything else is the fact that she
And when they can
is
be equal. Yeah.
she is kind of allured to the fact that, which once again is not our current trope anymore, but she's more allured to the fact that he might be more than less of a person, but it's against the law. So she broke the rules technically, but since she's the leader there, she got away with it, and she was willing to put other people to death. And then Riker talks to her about how, that it's not always, you can go ahead and do this, but if you do that, you'd be turning them into martyrs, which martyrs you can't silence. So you can exile them, or you could take them with us.
Powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah. So, and that's I think the big thing. But here, Angel 1 on my scale here is, let me give it a B.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah,
I
if it weren't for the ideas.
I like it. It's a solid episode.
Yep.
And I would recommend you watch it. Even if you don't agree with its current viewpoints, it is a very dated episode, but I enjoy it. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
I feel like we're only gonna get halfway through this because we're giving it. We could do
We're
a
at-
two-parter.
We're at
We're
episode
giving it.
15, brother, and we're only 2 hours into the Rantcast, so really we're actually making good time.
Okay, but we're giving it its due this time. We rushed through it last time, so this is much better.
And that's what I said. Every once in a
looks like
while,
a
I don't
hand.
mind doing a tier list because like this is nice stuff. It's nice stuff to talk about
Fun.
this stuff.
Yeah, we get to talk about all the episodes, the memories.
Episode 4 or episode 15 is 1100101,
Nah, got him.
which is the Riker
Binars.
Tinder episode and the Binar episode. Yeah, so this is another holodeck episode, but it's Riker gets involved with a woman that's made on the holodeck.
That's not a timely message for today's audience. Oh wait. Oh.
And the Binars, which are trying to sabotage the Enterprise based on their own survival, and they end up fixing it. I actually used to like this episode. After rewatching it, I actually have a different view on this episode. I fell asleep.
So this is Minuet.
Yes, I actually fell asleep during this episode.
Somebody
twice.
tell me. I don't remember the actress who plays Minuet. She's a good-looking woman, but she reminds me of Kate Mulgrew, who plays Janeway. I mean, much younger, obviously.
Damn.
So we were talking about this before the show, about if I'm gonna just have to look it up. I was gonna say, is that just a look? There's a certain look that.
Well, I think it's how Riker described her, because the last two women that came up before then did not look like that. So I think it's how she was put.
In her final form. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that like the message he made was like, like that blonde ladies and jazz, they don't fit. Like it threw me off a little bit. I was like, oh,
A whole generation of blonde women didn't go into jazz because Jonathan Frakes said that. Yeah,
that's right.
sad. Yep.
Whole generation completely gone. You can talk about this episode. I'm already gonna grade it.
No. I think I made my opinions clear in the last one, which was to say I thought the aliens were goofy. It felt more like an old school sci-fi show. I think by this point I was like, I don't know. But I mean
I'm gonna give it our
the
first D.
Riker having the AI girlfriend is pretty stupid. But at the same time, it was entertaining. It was entertaining.
Riker having the AI girlfriend was pretty stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
he's this manly man, all this stuff, and he's he's on the internet clicking on those like spam ads and like falling for it. It's
My
like, dude,
first time running in this episode, it wasn't bad.
take a cold shower, my friend.
It wasn't bad, but at the same time, for somebody like Riker, who is supposed to be considered a man's man in this sort of time,
This isn't like Lando Calrissian having a sex droid, but
yes,
it's getting there. It's getting in that territory.
But there is a message here. I just fell asleep during it, and that sucks because I missed a good chunk of the episode because it was very dull. But there is a message here. I remember watching this the first time and actually being interested in it. It's the fact that this is probably, besides the alien makeup being good and the A plot being pretty decent, the B plot is what kind of overtakes this. And it is really Riker having a bonding relationship with the holodeck.
Yep. Now we know what people use the holodeck for.
Yes.
Thanks.
So you don't have to watch this episode, and it can be very dull at times. So that's what I'm saying. It's the first one that gets really dull for me.
Carolyn McCormick was the actress, so it wasn't Kate Mulgrew. But gosh, if they weren't like cousins.
Pretty similar. Too short a season is episode 16. Enterprise escorts a Federation admiral to the planet to negotiate the release of hostages, but the planet governor wants to kill him in revenge for a previous hostage crisis that ended in tragedy. This one I actually enjoyed, and I actually got to remember it because I remember last time we were talking about this, I had no fucking idea what this was. I was trying to read the synopsis, and I was like, I still can't remember. This one is the older admiral who was in his 80s, who is suffering Iverson's disease. He has taken a alien concoction that you're supposed to take over a period of 2 years. He downs both doses and planned for this mission. Hops onto the Enterprise, tells Picard, I am assuming control of the away team, and we'll want full directive control once we get to this so-called planet. The governor of the planet, I think his name is Karnas. Yeah, Karnas. Gives a false message that there are terrorists aboard taking hostages and will execute the hostages if this guy doesn't arrive by a certain number of days. They make their way down there, and as they start to begin their journey, Picard notices. Picard, this admiral's wife, a lot of people on the Enterprise start to notice this guy's not only having pains, like he's getting into massive pains, he can now get up from his fucking wheelchair, which is impossible. He gets up from his wheelchair, he's able to walk over to Ops, he's able to take control of Ops for a little bit with Picard's permission. And Beverly is like, that's not a thing. He has Iverson's disease. He's supposed to be getting worse, not better. There's no cure for Iverson's disease that we've known. And Picard's like, well, did you check to see if there's any alien cures? And she's like, I'm been rolling through it the last 24 hours. We still can't find anything. So the entire crew is stunted because now, over the next 24 hours, this guy's getting younger and younger, like the Benjamin Button type shit. He is getting younger and younger. And by the time they reach the planet, he is a teenager. So he gets down there, but when they reach the planet, Picard has realized that Karnas, the governor, has made a plot to kill his own people to bring this guy down here. And by the time the Admiral is willing to come down here, he's so young that the governor doesn't fucking believe that that's him. And he's about to die because he has downed these two concoctions of alien get young's serum, and it's
the Alex Jones male vitality supplements.
Yeah, it's making his organs like shrink. Pretty much, it's killing him. So they beam his wife down for a final goodbye, and he looks Karnas in the face and tells him something that only Kim and Karnas would know. And the guy's like, I still don't fucking believe you. He's like, you must have told somebody that. And he's like, show me the scar. And he pulls his arm out, and there's the scar. And he's like, how? He's like shocked. And then, this guy's talking so much shit about how he wants him dead and how it was his fault because what happened was the Admiral gave weapons to this guy based off of his request, but in order to follow the Prime Directive, he gave weapons to the other side, which brought them into a 40-year war. But the dude released the hostages. So he saved some people, but he also caused the deaths of millions and millions of people. So this Admiral blames it on himself, and that's why he's coming back down to redeem himself. And this episode, I am ashamed to admit it, almost like brought a tear to my eye because the death that he has is so cheesy, but it's so sad because he like talks to his wife at the end, and he's like gotta be 17 or like super young, just super young. He looks like a kid, and his wife is telling him how much like he loves him, or how much she loves him or something. And he goes, I remember that woman with the blonde hair. And she goes, it's all gray now. And he goes, I only see the gold. And he like passes away.
Oh shoot, I forgot about that line. Dang it. I was gonna put it in D. I was gonna say this episode sucks.
I loved this episode, and it was so sad.
Okay. You know what? I'll just suspend my opinion. You do what you want.
So it's a very sad episode because that asshole that brought him down here blamed him for everything and then just says, well, okay, he's deserved enough. Watching him die like this was enough. He's like, I'm fully willing to cooperate with whatever you want to do, Picard. So that's how this episode kind of ends, is the fact that like this guy dies trying to become young enough to meet Karnas at his level. But because he took it too fast, he ruins the retirement he was going to have with his wife. He did that all so he could have one last mission. But he wanted to answer for the crimes that he committed 40 years ago. And it's a very sad episode. So, personally, I would put this in S tier. But I don't want to do too many personal episodes. This is an episode that you don't have to watch. It's not necessary. I would recommend it, though. I'm going to put it in A.
Yeah. I would have put it as D, but you talked me into C.
It's got a really sad ending. And
it does.
I think it's a little different from the rest of the series. And as you start getting mid up here, like mid through, like you're in episode 16 now, I think season 1 starts to get even better. You lose a lot of the lame episodes and you start getting into like better stuff.
The philosophy of de-aging and like old grudges and like how people change or don't change. I mean, those are all fine ideas. I guess I didn't like the way the makeup was done. I thought it was kind of cheesy.
The old man makeup. They do that all fucking show though. Like.
Yeah, they do. They have you start to get used to it after a while. Actually, you start to see the TNG
and I think for
old age makeup
for budget 1987 Star Trek. I think the way they did that was pretty decent. Like they had to put that guy in layers of makeup, like multiple times.
They did better than like the X-Files did
That guy was like probably like real life age was probably like 20 something. And they were like, here, we're going to age you. We're going to give you 4 different types of makeup. Like they put him in that old suit and they put him in like, they had to simulate an age of like 40. So they like put him in another layer of makeup. And then for the next couple shots, they took that off and they had to put him in another layer of makeup. Like it was probably hell on earth. Yeah.
It was.
So like props to that guy, like for having to go through all that shit and then having to act like because he had to make out with like an old lady. So no offense to the old lady, she was really nice, she did a really good job, but like it was you have to pull some inner soul, I think, for that.
Effort. A for effort.
When the Bow Breaks is the next episode. That is episode 17. Wesley and several children from the Enterprise are kidnapped by a sterile civilization which hopes to use them to rebuild their race. I'm going to let you take this one.
I feel like I'm going to contradict myself because I don't remember how I rated it on the other one. But I thought this was an interesting episode. You know, the whole question of, you've got the civilization that's like, basically they're dying because they can't have children, but they think it's okay to like capture somebody else's children and try to give them like everything they want so that they'll stay. And Wesley,
do you remember why
leadership
or what controlled their society?
It's something to do with like a computer,
the custodian. They called it the custodian. And I think it was what was giving them like cancer or something. It was giving them some sort of like something was giving them like, yes.
Something that was known to the state of California to cause cancer of the reproductive arm. So so they did that, and so there was a loophole. Wasn't there a loophole in the Prime Directive because it wasn't? It was somehow like they could interfere, but the plot was that Wesley gets to show his leadership.
Wesley solves that problem, I believe.
Yeah, and I was like a little bit of respect for the guy at this point. Like he rallies the kids to like resist. And
as far as like saving them goes, that wasn't Prime Directive, though. They were able to save the children.
Yeah. And at the end, there's a little part where one of the parents, or the would-be parents, like the kid that he was trying to like adopt as his own, it's like, oh, you can keep this like carving that you made as a gift. Like you can keep it. But in it, they showed like there was technology where they just give you a little tool and you just think of something and it just like carves it for you. It's kind of like a 3D printer. The kid's like, no, I'll just learn how to do it myself. Like, it's kind of like, oh, that sucks. But it was kind of like, I liked that little moment because it was sort of a dig at the modern like convenience of just like you type the thing into Sora or Suno and it just does it for you. It's like, just why not learn how to do it yourself? Even though we're hypocrites, we use this stuff. But as an episode, it was kind of interesting. It was talking about philosophical stuff about rights, survival. You know, can't just kidnap people.
Okay, where would you rate it?
Where would I rate it? I think for the interest, the watchability, I don't know if it's A. It's definitely at least B. Would I rate it higher? It doesn't have a lot of action. It's a pretty quiet episode. I mean, they had to wrangle these kids on set, so that's probably fair.
I would say it's necessary because it's another Wesley episode, so if you don't watch the other ones, then I would say I would recommend it. Home Soil is the next one, and that is episode 18. Powerful microscopic life form declares war on humans, takes over the Enterprise's lab, computers, and threatens to destroy the ship. I also might have fallen asleep during this episode. I don't have any notes for it.
Me too. There is one great line in it: "Ugly bags of mostly water." So if you ever hear that phrase, that's this episode.
See, I'm gonna have to check it out here. See if I have any notes on it because I don't recall this episode either. And I like sat and watched through these like twice, so I definitely know the ones that I've fallen asleep on.
To try to kill the crystal, right? To threaten it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just. I don't know. It didn't really grab me. It wasn't very memorable.
Well, do you know the basis?
I don't remember. I'd have to read in the description again.
I'm trying to sift through my notes and then part of the episode to see if I remember. Oh, okay. So this is the they're on a planet where it's the mining episode, I
Yeah.
think.
They compare it to Devil in the Dark from TOS, where it's like they don't realize it's a life form, but it is. It's just so different than what they're used to. It's a living crystal. In Devil in the Dark, it was like a lava cake that was alive.
It was a
So
lava cake that was alive.
it looks like a lava cake. Yeah, it's just a big bunch of a stone
Yeah,
creature.
this is the mining episode.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you don't realize that what you're doing is you're threatening the endangered species, but now that you know that it's alive, it tries to kill you, and then you have to negotiate with it, and finally you allow it to just do its own thing.
Yeah, okay, I'm remembering because this thing like tries to kill Data at the beginning of the episode. Okay, yeah, I fell asleep to this one multiple times, so
But
I had a hard time with this one.
if you watch Devil in the Dark, I mean, Star Trek TOS, it was the 60s. They didn't have the budget, but I mean, they went all out with this creature. Like, it just looked like a big bubbling, pastry made out of stone. And it was really cool looking and kind of scary. Whereas in this one, it's just a little crystal that kind of glows. It's like not very impressive.
I'm going with D only because I can't make an effective opinion with it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go off your opinion
Not
because I still have
bad,
to revisit this episode.
It's not bad. It's just mediocre. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so you could probably skip it if you wanted to. It looks interesting. I might watch it tonight after this.
Yeah, give it a shot if you have nothing else to do. You're not gonna hate it, but you might fall asleep.
Episode 18, Coming of Age. This is a good episode. I liked this one. So this has the A and B plot. This is I believe the A plot is Wesley going through the Starfleet Academy entrance exam, and the B plot is this is a Picard episode for the B plot. I'm trying to remember what.
Oh, it's to bounce off the atmosphere with the stolen shuttle.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
I forgot all about this one. Yeah.
Yes, he gets interviewed to be admiral for the Starfleet Forum. Thank you very much. I almost forgot about that because it has what's his name? They called him Commander. It's not Commander, but it was Lieutenant Remick.
Paris?
It was Remick.
No, that's a later episode.
They brought in Remick as his auditor, and he was the biggest dickhead on the planet. And then at the end of it all, because it was an admiral that was auditing him, because there's a lot of political shit going on in Starfleet. There wasn't any real issue with the Enterprise or him. It was they were trying to make sure that he was doing everything that he needed to do, and they couldn't find anything wrong.
This sets up another episode, and it's an interesting way that they deal with the whole. So you'll see later in Conspiracy is kind of a follow-up to the whole idea of, wait a minute, why is all this wacky stuff happening to the Enterprise, and why is Picard making all these decisions? Like, wait, you did what? So it's kind of like almost breaking the third wall a little bit, like realizing the continuity. So it's kind of interesting in that way. The stuff about Starfleet Academy, I didn't think that part was very interesting. So it's kind of hit and miss for me.
Okay.
But the setup for Conspiracy, like if you just watch Conspiracy on its own, not as good. But
that sounds like season 3 or 4, isn't it?
No,
it's not season 2. Or no, it's actually not season 2. This is still season 1. Conspiracy is season 1. It's right before the finale. It's Neutral Zone.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about it because I have only watched this once, that part, because I try to avoid anything after Skin of Evil right now. So
yeah, I would say this episode is kind of a mixed bag on its own. So maybe C.
Really?
Yeah. Disagree.
Okay. I don't know. Like I said, I like the Wesley's Academy thing. The A plot really kind of shines on this one.
They do make you care more about Wesley than before. So
because he's going up against Mordok and Wesley, and the whole point is that because there's a big lesson that he comes to with Picard at the end is, and I'm going to spoil it, is Wesley does not pass the Academy entrance exam. He loses to Murdoch by a few points. He even helps Murdoch halfway through the show, and Murdoch's like, I shouldn't have gotten this because Wesley helped me, and the Academy teacher was like, oh, it's okay, you won by more than just that. But what it was Wesley did his best through that entire Academy entrance exam. He was even complimented on his psych test and all other stuff. He was complimented on well he did, like how very well he did, above and beyond. But he still lost. And he was talking to Picard. Picard said, well, the next time that you take that test, and you will take that test, are you going to improve? And Wesley said, I'm pretty sure I will. And he goes, then you've done it. You know? Which is a lesson that I've learned. I don't take a lot from movies or TV, but one of these things was like, there's a line that Picard mentions, which is, you could do your very best and still fail. Yes. Failure is the lesson of life. It's something that I've taught my kids, is the fact that like you shouldn't be afraid to fail. You should be afraid to give up. Don't give up. Yeah. Fail and fail well, because as you do that, you're going to learn to get better. A lot of people will tell you that you failing makes you bad, and it doesn't make you bad, because not everybody is born just with the gift of being talented at everything. You're going to have talents in certain areas, and you're going to have skills that you have to build on your own. And you know, some, especially with school or with sports or anything that you get into, you may not be talented right off the bat. That doesn't mean that you can't match with the rest of them. It just takes work.
Yeah.
So
this is assuming it's a failure you can walk away from. I mean, if we're talking about skydiving without a parachute.
Okay. What I'm saying is,
in general.
I mean, that's using common sense, though, Kurgan. Like,
yeah, if it stops you from trying, you're not going to get anywhere in life if you're afraid of failure.
And
it holds you back.
And that's the saying is like we're not saying like if you like are going into a high noon duel with another cowboy, like if you fail, come back and try again. Like it's more like the thing, like if you're learning to do something, right, and you're not very good at it, don't be afraid to try again.
Yeah.
And know that you'll improve as you keep doing it.
Yeah. Words of wisdom.
So I think that taking that's a big thing. Coming of age kind of teaches you something. It has a really good A plot. Its B plot's all right. I think it releases some emotions, because I wanted to punch Remick in the face a bunch. But at the end, he looks up Picard and says, like, this place is like a sense of family to it. He said, when I'm done with my tour here, I would love to be stationed here. And he like leaves. So I think that Coming of Age is a good episode. It's not necessary. Well, it is kind of necessary because it's the star. So I'm going to go with B. We're going to put it in B. Because it's an Academy episode. Wesley learns a lot about himself. Picard gets offered as a teacher for the Starfleet Academy program. I think that there is
it's probably a side conversation, but I wonder with the new Starfleet Academy show, I wonder what people would think comparing that to this. It's like, they just let anybody in.
Yeah, I don't care much for Starfleet Academy, but
I'll reserve my comments. I haven't seen it at all. I've been told no.
The next is another one of my favorites. It's Heart of Glory. And that's episode 20.
I was entertained by this one.
Mostly because of
Yep.
The Klingon rituals. I think you learn about a lot of Klingon rituals in the beginning, or in this one. Because I don't think they teach you in the TOS, but like how like when
they change.
When they died, they like open their eyes and stare at them till like the light leaves their eyes, and it's very good. It's very good.
Feeling and roar.
You also learn about Worf's origins a little bit too.
Yeah. Yep.
And how he didn't get to experience anything really Klingon.
He learns the Klingon culture from books, basically.
Yes. And it kind of explains why he is Starfleet material. More than anything else is because he was born on a farm, and so like these two Klingons that get rescued from this craft, who are renegades, by the way. They try to recruit Worf to their side, and talk
Try to
about
shame him into.
they try to
joining
say
them.
like, you were born on a farming colony? Like, what is wrong with you? Wait, I'm not trying to mock you here, but like, when your blood boiled in rage, when your heart screamed to be a warrior, like, what did you do about all that? Like, and Worf was just like, I had control. And it's not like I didn't feel these emotions. I just had control over myself.
Yeah, I had other options,
So it was just like one of those things that kind of like, it does emphasize a difference in culture again, which is nice. But it's Worf's first steps into becoming more of his heritage, which I think happens more and more throughout the show. You'll see that he kind of ditches the neat haircut, gets more into a longer haircut, starts donning more appropriate attire every now and then. He becomes more of his Klingon self, but still sticks to Starfleet regulation. And I think that is...
That's a recurring theme throughout Star Trek. You saw it in TOS with Spock and Vulcan culture. It's like these planets have this pride. It's like, no, you're one of us. You should be like this. And it's like these other individuals are like, some of that stuff I like, and some of this other stuff I do it my own way. And they have to kind of come to peace with that. And I know there've been debates about it and saying like, oh man, these aliens, they make them too stereotypical, they make them too one note, too caricatured. What are they trying to say? But if you look at it from just the standpoint of the character, it's like, what is Worf's motivation? Like, what is he feeling? I mean, it can be an interesting character study. So it makes it watchable.
Indeed. So I think that I think this is good. I think it was a good episode. But yeah, I think it helps a lot bring out a lot of Worf's heritage.
I'd say A. What would you say?
Well, and it also helps because we don't get this again until Matter of Honor, which is season 2. And that's I'm not even going to talk about that yet, but that's another one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
But do you know what a Matter of Honor is?
I'm sort of forgetting. I
think that's the episode with where they bring Riker onto a Klingon ship.
Oh,
yeah.
Shoot.
And he has to learn to get along with the Klingons.
You got to like just randomly slap them around. And...
Yeah, like he like has to beat the shit out of each other and stuff.
And eat live worms and stuff.
Yeah. So
that's the thing. It's like it's funny because on the one level it's like, okay, these are aliens, and it's like they're trying to emphasize that their culture just really is just shocking and weird to us, but it's like it's exaggerated. So it's kind of like the Ferengi. It's like they're not really that greedy. It's like, yep, they sure are. So,
you bet.
Yeah. But is that realistic, or is it the perception? Because you could say in Earth cultures, like two cultures meet, they don't know anything about each other, and like, whoa, these people are freaking weird. Like, everything they do is backwards and wrong, and it's like, okay, over time they get to know each other and go, okay, well maybe we judge them a little too harshly, but
right.
Yeah, that's still freaking weird that they do. Or that it causes a conflict, right? Or something, a clash.
Heart of Glory is nice. I think it's pretty necessary. I enjoyed it, so I'm gonna go with B.
Okay.
But
sure.
What would you say?
I'm more inclined to say A, just for the entertainment value. I get the difficulties. Yeah, the difficulties people say, because some people really hated the way. Some people really hated the way the Klingons were portrayed, but I think that has more to do with the fact that you have so much development over this course of the series, and then you're looking back at these episodes and trying to like piece it all together versus just taking the episode on its own.
It was very cheesy too. Like the ending was meaningful. Like the last of the KDF man dies and Worf takes him out because he was like, he was like trying to convince him to go to his side. Then he goes, no. He like denies him. He's like, I take everything back. You may look Klingon, but you are no Klingon. He goes, that may be so. And he like shoots him. And then he like grabs his eyes and opens it. He does it himself. And then he like screams, raw! And like it pans out into sections. It was, it's a good episode. I'll give it an A. It's a good episode.
Okay. All right.
Good episode.
See what you think. Check it out.
The next episode is Arsenal of Freedom.
Yes.
Is this the one that you tried to do S with last time?
Yeah, I did. I just like the concept of the robot keeps coming back stronger and stronger and stronger.
Is that it? There was so much to this fucking episode.
There is.
Though.
Those are the parts that stands out. It's like, wait a minute, what's the top speed of the lollipop? Like,
oh, dude, I didn't get that until I rewatched that. It's like,
yeah,
like
the infiltrator unit.
Don't you get on the Enterprise, Riker? He's like, no, my ship is the lollipop. What's its armament?
Yeah.
What's the armament of the lollipop?
Yeah. Just like messing with him. It's funny.
Why are you down here? Your mother was concerned. She asked that I come down here. Yeah, like it was.
It's like an AI is asking you questions, trying to scam you, and you're just like not having it. You're just messing with him.
It was just funny because he's so. To be frank, there was and correct me if I'm wrong, they're trying to, they were led because there was a ship that went missing around that sector, right? And they get led to this abandoned planet, and it's leaving an ad of armaments and weapons. Like, come buy these weapons, come buy this, like, we are the arsenal of blah, blah, blah. And they go down to the planet, they beam down to the planet, and they run into this guy who is supposed to be on this ship. And Riker knows him because they're supposed to be friends. And he's like, hi, Riker. How many did you bring with you? Like, why are you down here? What's your purpose? And like, it's asking him questions, trying to probe him. And Riker answers questions, then starts to realize he's asking too many questions because he's going to ask this guy questions. And the guy's giving him like one-word answers and not really answering back. He's just answering questions back to him. So he starts getting a little weird. And he's like, you did come on the Enterprise, didn't you? He's like, no, I came on the lollipop. And he just starts giving him like bullshit answers. So the guy's taking it and he realizes that this isn't him at all. It's a fake. And then all of a sudden you see this big bulbous phallic-y like thing floating up in the air. And it's like, it looks really awkward. They really should choose a different design for it because it looks like, I don't know, it looks weird. But it's like this little floating projectile, and it like was projecting an image of his friend. So they shoot it down, and it eventually comes back. And it, instead of just standing there, it starts weaving back and forth. And they are like, well, we have to now start predict where it goes. So they do that. And then at this point, Picard and Beverly Crusher come down. They accidentally fall into a hole, which is supposed to be the maintenance shaft for this weapon. And Beverly gets gravely injured. So while Picard's trying to find a way out, he finds the console for this weapon. And while he's trying to figure out what's going on, the rest of the away team is trying to save themselves because this weapon's getting better. It's learning from them.
Like the Borg, it just keeps adapting.
Yeah, so eventually this weapon now has a shield, so they have to burn through the shield in order to blow it up. And they do, but they're like, we don't know if we could get it again. It's adapting.
Yep.
So Picard ends up running into the salesman again from the space ad, and he's like,
Machiavelli. Yeah.
Just wait until you see what happens next. It's going to take out these two guys and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I don't want you to do that. But if you don't watch it, then you'll never understand its true power. He's like, I just want to buy it. You've made a sale. And he's like, good, great. He's like, now shut it all off. He's like, will do. And like the program shuts off. The thing goes away. And yeah. And that's it. So
it's the train man from Ghost. It's Machiavelli.
Oh yes, that's true.
He does a good job.
He does, and it pretty much explains that like these people created such a powerful weapon that it pretty much eliminated them.
It was too good, yeah.
Yeah, it was too good.
It's the generative AI. Yeah.
Yep. So it wiped them out. So they ended up leaving. But I don't know. It's a good episode. I don't know if I'd throw an S tier.
I just really enjoyed it. I think it had a lot of good moments, and it had some genuine threat. Like, oh crap, they're screwed.
I mean, the dialogue between Picard and Beverly Crusher was a lot of will they, won't they, and that happens a lot in season 1.
Just a second ago, I was reading that apparently, at least Wikipedia claims, that this was supposed to be the episode where she confesses her love to him, and there's no alcohol involved. But Roddenberry was like, no, don't do that. So they held back.
Why?
Save it for later, I guess.
Ugh. It never happens, doesn't it? I don't think it ever happens.
Nope.
And there's always a will there or won't they. It's always there.
Yep. Keep it going.
Keep your stiff dick hard, you know.
Keep it blue.
I would say, C, or I don't know.
I would rate it to the top, but here I have a bias. So I really liked it as a kid. Like I really liked it, and so I still carry that nostalgia, that weight of nostalgia with me.
It's solid. I'm gonna put it B. It's a solid. Yeah. It's a solid episode. I recommend watching it.
Yeah,
solid.
There you go. Like a rock.
Symbiosis is our next one. Oh yeah, this is the Don't Do Drugs episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
Episode 22, Symbiosis.
Yeah.
I rewatched this episode and was like, yeah, this is better than what I thought it was. What are the species called again? I can't remember what the species called. Shit.
The Trillions? No.
No. It's not the Trillions. Anyway, there's 2 species.
Trillions are used a lot throughout the show for different.
Yeah, I think the Trillions were the species that were under that virus.
Frozen. Oh no.
But,
yeah, never mind. Just ignore me.
But yeah, there's 2 species that get picked up by another exploding freighter. By the way, that's another thing that gets overused in season 1. Was fucking. They just did it in Heart of Glory, where they beamed a group of people off right before the ship exploded. They do this again in Symbiosis. Only this time they beam the group up, and it's really weird because at first you think these people are dullards because they're like burning up, like their ship is burning up, and they're like, I guess you could beam us up, and Picard's like, well, if it's no convenience, I suppose, like, you know, and they start beaming them up, but they're still moving. So, like, they're having a hard time beaming them up, and they're like, dude, the hull's critical. And Picard's like, what the hell are they doing down there? They're about to die. So they get these people, they get them beamed up, and it's 2, like, really sharp-looking people, and the other 2 are like, well, first they get their cargo. Their cargo's on the thing, and they're like, what the fuck? Get these people out of here now. And they beam up 2 people, 2 sharp-looking people, 2 like kind of scroungy-looking people. The other 2 didn't make it. They burned up with the ship. So Riker apologizes for the failure to these people, and both of them seemed really they didn't care. They want to go see the cargo. Both of them, both groups. And Riker's like, okay, let's show you to the cargo then. It sounds like you don't care about your comrades at all. And so they get led to the cargo, and both these species start fighting over the cargo to the point where they start fighting, and when they fight, they emit like electrical beams out of their hands or some shit. They get that situation under control, and the 2 sharper-looking people tell the Enterprise that it's Felicium they have in that cargo that they're trying to sell to this other species. and it's a symbiotic relationship that they have. This species is dying of a disease. The Felicium helps keep them under control, helps get rid of their symptoms, and over a course of days, they need to take it again. It's a medication. It's been refined. It's been polished enough throughout the years to where it's more effective, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't get payment because their freighter blew up. And the other guys are like, you got your payment. We gave it to you. It's not our fault you lost it, blah, blah, blah. So they're fighting over the shipment. Picard's like, well, we can't really do very much. You guys are claiming it. You guys are claiming it. Is it okay if maybe these guys got one dose because they're dying? Like, maybe you could give them a dose and then move on. They were hesitant at first. They ended up giving them a dose. And Beverly notices something happen. These guys get extremely docile when they take this medication. They show weird symptoms. They go from, like, freaking out to going, oh, yeah, man. Yeah. I feel a lot better now. So she comes back to Picard and says, I don't think Felicium's there to cure anything. I think it's a narcotic, and I think these people are addicted to it.
Yep.
So the plan gets worked around because now it becomes a prime directive matter. And originally, the people who are addicted to the Felicium were supposed to get help with their freighters. They're supposed to get coils to help them so they could transport their stuff back and forth since they lost their only good freighter. And the people who are selling it, they get talked to about this because it's no longer they did have a disease at one point in time. Felicium did help, but they never told that other race, and now they're just addicted to it. So they sell it to them, and the whole race is addicted to drugs. So it ends up turning out that due to the Prime Directive, they end up getting their Felicium, even though Beverly says, no, we shouldn't do this. They end up getting the Felicium. The two sharp people are very greedy and evil about it. They're like, well, you can't fuck around because of your Prime Directive. And Picard's like, oh? And he goes, well, these coils they were supposed to get, they're not getting them anymore. And the guys are like, what? He's like, well, you can't do that. It'll fuck with our trade. And he's like, well, yeah, sorry. He's like, you can have your medicine, but according to our Prime Directive, you can't have those coils either. And the guy's like, well, that would be fucking with all of our stuff, right? You'd be messing with your Prime Directive. He's like, well, it obviously didn't bother you when it worked in your favor. So, I don't know. I liked it, but it's very skippable. It's very skippable, but I don't know. What would you think about symbiosis? Kurgan, you still there?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, you could say it's got some ham-handed moments. I know that's been a lingering criticism of the episode. Just say no to drugs, but I don't know. It's still an interesting concept. It's like these issues still exist in the future, and it's kind of interesting that they deal with it. So I don't know. It wasn't super memorable. I'd put it in the middle. I wouldn't put it like way at the bottom.
It was your Don't Do Drugs episode.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was an overall PSA, but like I would say it was still pretty good to watch. So yeah, I would say the same thing. Probably say C.
Yeah, they could have toned it down just a little bit, and it would have been fine.
So Kurgan, to help keep you awake, and I haven't watched these last three because I haven't gone past Skin of Evil.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna let you take point.
Okay. Skin of Evil, what a mixed bag of an episode, because as we know, Tasha Yar dies.
Yeah.
And she gets killed by a tar monster who is just a bully, basically. He's just like he takes Geordi's glasses away, like a classic bully. Oh, can't find them. Oh. And it's just like it's sometimes you need that in a show. Like they have all these like intellectual puzzles to solve. It's just like this is just an alien who's just mean. He just hates everybody, and it's like, and the way he gets defeated, it's kind of like, oh, you're this way because, you were treated badly. Well, guess what? Now that you've been a dick to everybody, we're going to leave you alone. But yeah, it was just kind of like, I was surprised. I was shocked. A lot of people were shocked. Like, they killed Tasha. They killed her off. And it's like, it, it's one of those things where, yeah, you think they're going to solve the problem at the end of every episode. Everything's going to be fine. And it's like, no, sometimes people just die in the line of duty, and it's not something glamorous. It's like something stupid just took them down, and they're mortal after all. So Denise Crosby, a lot of people said they did her dirty in this series. She had so much more potential. They didn't give it to her. It's too bad. She moved on with her career, but she did come back several times to play other characters, other versions of Tasha.
The start is I think season 3 is when she comes back.
Yeah. So
Yesterday's Enterprise.
I'll admit, as a young whippersnapper, I thought she was attractive, and I kind of missed her, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, it felt like her character could have had more depth, and it was kind of sucked to see her go out like this.
You dog.
So, and yet, I remember this episode being shocking to me, not just because of that, but just seeing the actors like go into the tar, and it looked like it was getting in their mouth and everything, and I'm just like, oh, it was so rough doing that. I mean, they could have used mannequins, or I don't know what it was, if it was just like Jello or what it was, but
we only got one take for this. Don't drop your phaser. Oh shit.
Yeah, those little dustbuster phasers they had. It's like, yeah. So just a cheat day for you? No, just kidding. No, that looks like some good stuff there. Good soup. Yeah. So Skin of Evil, as problematic, as shocking as it was, I'd still rate it highly, actually, because of those emotions that you feel. So some people are going to disagree. I'd put it in A. It's an important episode. If you skip it, you're skipping something important in the series.
Very. And then we've got
because let's face it. There's people out there that say season 1 of TNG is completely skippable. Like, they would skip the entire episode or entire series. Can't talk. I'm getting tired. They would say skip season 1 entirely. I would disagree with those people that say skip season 1. I think Roddenberry's shadow is cast strongly on TNG, and these are formative episodes. If you skip them, you're skipping something very important in the series, even if just for pure entertainment you prefer later seasons. So, yeah.
I liked it.
There you go. I liked it too. But yeah, at the time it made me mad. It's like reading The Death of Superman. You're like, you can't kill Superman, but you can't look away.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
You made me feel something.
Yeah, that's exactly it too. You made me feel something, fuckers.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I would say, what about episode 24? We'll Always Have Paris. Captain Picard is unexpectedly reunited with his first love in the midst of an investigation into lethal time warp experiments.
I think I'm going to reiterate my comments from last time, which is to say, yes, I know it's a character episode. I didn't think it was that interesting. I was not pulled in by this one. Yeah, the Casablanca, plot. I don't know. It was a quieter kind of exploration of that. I mean, there's always a reason for it, right? It's like, let's have the date. Let's make this happen because there's more important things going on. Just not that memorable.
Okay.
Conspiracy S. I'm going from one extreme to the other. So with this one, this was a really gory episode for TV, and a lot of people were shocked by it at the time. They're like, because I'm a kid watching.
This is where all the admirals, including the one that tried to offer him that position, are like under control, right?
Yeah. So the whole audit thing gets swept under the rug because they were all a bunch of parasitic aliens. And there's people eating mealworms and like creatures crawling into people's mouths and writhing under their skin.
That's including his old friend, like his old friend that tried to audit him, right?
Yeah. So it's a nice way to let Picard and the Enterprise do whatever they want, because the guy that was going to expose you was a monster. Convenient, very convenient. So it's almost like the writers came up with an excuse to get themselves out of the corner that they written themselves into, but in a creative, in-universe way that it's just kind of fun. So I liked it.
From where I watched this one back in the day, it was good. And
Creature feature.
yes, I would say this is an A because it's like you have to watch this one.
Yeah. Yep. And if you were creeped out by the space slugs that crawled into the people's ears in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, it's not quite that gory, but it's definitely like on that level. And they enhanced the CGI in the remaster, so it looks a little bit more real, a little bit more gross.
Yum.
Yum yum.
Last one, the neutral zone.
Okay, and just like last time, I forgot about some of the details. This is about the Romulans coming back. But the other plot was what?
This is the time travel. It's the one where the Romulans bring back the three frozen Americans in the 20th century. The gambler, the executive, and the humble farmer or whatever it was.
Yeah, like that's my son. No.
To me, this was I can't remember if there was a B plot to this, but I think this is all about them, and I think this was a very, very stoic season finale.
Yeah.
It was good.
I thought it was watchable. It was interesting. It was fun. Yeah.
But compared to like TNG's other season finales, like that are coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't that are breaking like things, because like I said, season 2 is going to introduce the Borg.
What the hell?
Well, no, it's going to tease the Borg, I think, in season 2, and then I think season 2's season finale is Shades of Grey, which isn't anything crazy yet. I think season 3 is when the Borg start to shine.
Yeah.
And that's going to be big.
They kind of ruined. I felt like they ruined the Borg, but I mean, in TNG, they were amazing. They were awesome. I love the Borg.
Because if I remember right, yeah, Best of Both Worlds, I think, is season 3's finale, and that's where Locutus shows up.
Patrick Stewart was saying that like some couple like came by and said, "You ruined our summer," because the cliffhanger. They had to wait for the next episode to come out.
Oh my god!
Funny.
And they show more of Chief. Teleport Chief O'Brien or whatever this time?
Miles O'Brien, yeah.
Miles O'Brien, because they only show him like twice in season 1.
He gets developed in DS9, but yeah, he was a recurring extra in this series.
He shows up more frequently later on in TNG, doesn't he? If I remember right.
Yeah, I mean, but he was always a small character. But I mean, he becomes like part of the main cast in DS9.
Sure, I'm looking at these other episodes. Like, oh man, Second Chance. I can't wait till we get to these.
There
fucking
are lights.
The clone Riker. Oh man.
Thomas Riker. Yep. Dr. Pulaski replacing Beverly Crusher in season 2. She calls him Doctor.
Oh shit. That's right. I totally forgot about that.
Yep. And Roddenberry actually was involved in season 2. I'd forgotten that. But yeah, his influence was less.
He was like he was kind of like Lucas's, right? He was a stand-in in season 2, wasn't he? I don't think he did.
Forgetting.
Or made much decisions, because I know season 1 he was more influential.
I think he had total creative control in the first one, and he famously said, "It's not Star Trek until I say it's Star Trek." Like in that, he meant it. But yeah, it's like he was still writing stuff. He was still influencing the series all through the second, and then by the third season, they were basically forcing him out, and he was more just like an honorary like guy. Like he'd send them ideas, but they didn't have to listen to him. And then he was completely out because of his health.
Take your screenshots here. This is our more refined version, which I think is better.
So instead of just the hand, it's we got the Klingon salute going on.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Yep. Okay.
It's
interesting.
a lot better.
So we've only got one S tier. There's a couple more I would have put in the S tier, to be fair.
S tier to me is like a personal bias. It doesn't fully exist.
Sure.
But it's like best Trek. Yeah. And like to me, best Trek is The Big Goodbye. It's something that's not even Trek. It's like, I love those goofball episodes, man. Like that's where me and you and our things differ. Is like, there's always good Trek out there, but best Trek is the Trek you don't see usually. And The Big Goodbye is like one of those for season 1.
It's the side quest. It's the
correct.
the surprise.
It's those
bonus.
episodes you look forward to that aren't around as often. Like when you're a kid and you're looking forward to
That's
like
great.
them hopping into like the video game world or something, and you're like, man, I wish they do these more often. They don't. They do it like once a season or some shit.
But
And
then
like,
then it's extra special because if they do it too much, it wears it out.
so that's to me that's what makes it special, as it's Picard going in as Dixon Hill, and like there's nothing super crazy about it. It's just it's a goofy episode with some goofy quirks, but it's a
All those
lighthearted
people-
episode. So
All those people who say season 1 sucked, like, are we fanboys? I mean, look at that. We've only got 3 bad episodes, really.
I
We've
mean, and
got
these aren't really
more
that
mediocre
bad.
ones.
You could watch those and they're still good. Home Soil and We'll Always Have Paris are ones that I didn't even really see yet. So I told people I watched all of
me-
season 1 and I kind of lied. I only watched up to
To me, those
fucking-
ones were
what is it?
They were
Skin of Evil.
the word. There's a couple TNG episodes where I actually I thought the moral message they were arguing was like wrong. Like I just really disagreed with it, and that got in the way of me enjoying the episode. But most of the time, the TNG episodes are not bad. The bad ones are just boring. Like
But
they're just like, eh.
if this is how I feel about season 1 and season 2 and 3 get like way better, it's going to be hard. And that's why I'm saying like I'd rather do this now and then I can like we can do like a simplified, we don't have to go through each episode in detail, but I'm probably going to do this after I do season 2 because I know we're not going to take a whole cast all the time to do tier lists. But like I'd still like to do a tier list segment every now and then. And like I could just go through and like be like these are my rankings for season 2 and then season 3 and stuff like that.
Anybody can do a tier list, but you came here to see us do it.
Yeah.
With this.
I mean, it gives us a small break. This was a cool
This was our big goodbye, right?
Yeah. This was a cool little thing. I know it's not like us talking about random shit, but like it's really you really do need a full couple hours to do a tier list if you're gonna break down each episode, talk about it, stuff like that.
Do it.
Fucking Star Trek's 26 episodes. So
TNG, great series. I disagree with the people who say season 1 sucks. I understand if you like other seasons better, but as you can see, there's quite a few quality episodes. Even if you disagree with our rankings a little bit, I mean, you saw, some stuff you put as B, I put as S. We had some disagreements, but this is pretty spot on. And I think if you don't like season 1, chances are, I'd almost say you don't like Trek, but I get it. If you're going more for the action, if you're going more for the personal dramas between certain characters, you could judge other seasons better.
I think people judge it by the height of the season because like this is just the start.
Yeah,
and
it's start.
Like I don't know, a lot of people.
There's people that say season 2 sucked as well. They're just like, no, don't even just start watching in season 3. Pretend that other stuff doesn't exist. I'm like,
Roddenberry had his issues, and I think it shows in the first season a little bit. But you kind of lose a lot of the I think you lose a lot of the major perversion and the weird, like 60s-ish stuff that was kind of outdated at this point in time. You lose it once you get into season 2. So season 1's weird. I would say people think it was weird, but if you're just doing a tier list based on the first season, I would say that this is where you'd want to go. Now, if we were doing based on the entire fucking series of TNG, which is what this tier list is based off, I'd probably have these in a couple different tiers. Because,
that would be tough.
It really is tough. But, that's why I'm doing it one season at a time, because then I can just come back and throw them back in.
The later shows have the burden of the previous lore being established. This, you can forgive a lot more because it's just starting out. But I get it if you're just going back for pure entertainment value. Like, okay, I've only got so many hours to watch TV.
You guys haven't seen Guinan yet. We haven't seen Guinan yet. Nope. Which I think is Whoopi Goldberg's best role ever, besides Sistract. So.
Interesting. Yeah, say that. She's an imp.
You got Future Imperfect. You've got the
a lot of time travel episodes. A lot of holodeck.
Deja Q, Q Who. Chain of Command is a good
Some
episode.
good, some good Wesley episodes.
There's True Q too. There's a lot of fucking Q episodes in here.
One where Picard gets tortured.
Mm-hmm. Frame of Mind.
That was a good. Yeah.
What else? There's a lot of good fucking episodes, especially towards the end, and like a lot of people are like talking about how
Masks. Oh, that
it's
wasn't good.
it gets a little weirder towards the end, but
More esoteric. The one where they all de-evolve. That was a stupid one. Although the makeup effects were cool. Troy turns into an
Timescape and Second
iguana.
Chances were good. I liked Clone Riker was fucking crazy.
There was a Groundhog Day. I forgot to acknowledge that we had Groundhog Day again. There's one where they keep reliving the same, like the ship keeps exploding, and they keep
Oh
dying.
shit, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I can't remember. The problem is I can't remember the name. I can't associate the names with what happens in them. I have to go back and read and go, oh, that's the episode. The one where they brought Scotty back, I felt like they did him dirty. Like they treated him like a piece of crap, which I hated.
You talking
Because
about in
James
the first?
Doohan, I mean,
You mean the first
Relic.
episode?
No, relics.
Oh,
If
okay.
you, it's like he comes on the Enterprise and they're just like, yeah, whatever. It's like, no, this is like bringing George Washington back to life. It's like interview the guy, do something. It's like just give him a bottle of whiskey and send him to the holodeck, I guess. It's like you idiots. Like
Oh, here's your medieval episode. You're talking about ones that were old, like where they did. Like, I think Cupid was the
Cupid, yeah.
yeah.
Or how about the one where is that the one where they become Robin Hood?
Yes.
Oh yeah. And then there's the one where Barclay, they find his holodeck fantasies, and it's like Counselor Troy is like she's like, oh well, this is just him dealing with his feelings, because they have like Riker and all these guys like being like idiots that he's like beating up, and then she's making all these excuses for him, but then they show like the holodeck version of Deanna Troy, and she's like all like sexy and stuff. She's like, oh, this is unacceptable. You got to shut this down. This guy's got problems. Like,
Oh yeah.
so you can't take it.
That's right.
She's like this goddess or something, like
That's
spouting
an
poetry.
HR. That's an HR violation right there.
Yeah, well, it's like you invaded the guy's browser history. What did you expect to find? It's like, come on. Anyway, yeah.
Well,
So there's good stuff to come. There's silly, there's stupid, and there's amazing episodes.
definitely silly and stupid.
Yep.
I would say this was a good episode. These were good episodes. Do you have anything else to put in? We are at 3 hours 42 minutes. This
So
was one hell of a tier list.
Star Trek: The Next Generation episodes, seasons 1 to 7, tier list maker. Who put this one together? Does it give a credit or just
No,
tier master Mike,
that's right.
DJ Jazzy Jeff?
But I already have it favorited, so I'll be able to go back into it later.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks for
Just
taking
do
that.
4 hours. You're practically there. Why would I do 4 hours, King? Holy shit!
It's like you're a bunch of astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
I'm tired. I'm sleepy.
Yeah, I'm tired too.
My body can't take much more.
Nope.
I'm out of coffee.
I'm all out of gum. Yep.
Kind of time to bake ass and eat gum. I'm all out of gum.
All out of ass.
I'm all out of ass.
Of steel. Balls of
Time to
steel.
chew ass and eat gum.
Yep. All right. Well, that's been the Rantcast. So you can see the chat. I can't see people chatting.
Yeah, I can see the chat.
Just do 4 hours practically. Oh, okay. Now I see it. Thanks, King. Yeah, I got stuff to do tomorrow, so I probably should sign off. But this was fun. And you HeroQuest fans out there, you keep stumping for our rights here. Keep those Hasbro people in check. Don't let them get away with the crap, letting stuff run out of stock. Be scalped.
Indeed. And with that,
Germany, Spain, or anywhere else.
that leaves our Rantcast. Let me see if I can do this. There we go. On the bus cam, my blurry ass bus cam that I do on purpose. Anyway, that is it for our Rantcast. You have a good rest of your night. I am once again Joshua, also known as TheStrangeBus. You can catch me at twitch.tv/strangebus occasionally. I'm also joined by my friend and co-host here, Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans, and you can catch him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. That's twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. Thank you all. Have a great night. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you on the next Rantcast. See you later, guys.
And later, Spotify. Woo! RantCast.